KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. Tonight, the Utah Mammoth will play their first home game of the regular season, and the Delta Center is expected to be packed with thousands of screaming fans.
Backhand star! A beauty! Lawson Krause! Wow!
Wow, indeed. The Mammoth are hoping to get back on track in front of the home fans after dropping 2 of their first 3 games to start the new season. There will be live entertainment and activities outside the Delta Center starting at 4. The puck drop between the Mammoth and the Calgary Flames is set for 7:30. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is putting the pressure on Democrats as the government shutdown stretches on.
As the government shutdown enters day 15, President Trump now says he will reveal a list Friday of, quote, Democrat programs that he will shut down permanently.
We're not closing up Republican programs because we think they work. So we are closing up Democrat programs.
With federal workers going unpaid, President Trump welcoming his close political ally, Argentina's President Javier Milei, to the White House to announce a $20 billion bailout for his country.
ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow's up 311 now. That's 0.7%. We're at 46,578. Coming up, we've got some rain in the forecast today and tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. When life gets overwhelming, some things tend to fall by the side.
I'm Carlos Sanchez from Draper, Utah. I was managing a business, helping out a business, doing paperwork and getting paid, and my wife got sick. We filed taxes, but then we got audited. And when I went and talked to the IRS, they didn't give me any choice. The IRS pretty much said, this is what you owe us, when are you gonna pay us? And we're talking quite a bit. But every time I drive, I listen to the radio. Jordan Wilcox, Jordan Wilcox. So I figure there's a reason this guy's on the radio. So I called him.
Put an end to IRS collection and aggression today.
The amount that the IRS came up with, close to $250,000, and the offer in compromise was about $7,600. That's it.
This is Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Let's solve your IRS nightmare. Visit endtaxworry.com.
Go for it. The outcome, it was worth it. I'm okay.
endtaxworry.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Big news for uranium workers in Utah. The RECA program is back, and you could be eligible for $100,000 in compensation if you worked as a uranium miner, miller, driller, or transporter before 1991 and got sick from radiation exposure. Join CNS Cares for a RECA education event on Thursday, October 16th at 11 a.m. at Susie's Branding Iron in Moab, 2971 South Highway 191. Learn more at cnscares.com or call 855-CNS-RECA. CNS Cares. They put care first.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And here's Heather Kelly.
We're pretty much back to normal freeway speeds all across the Wasatch Front. You'll just see a couple of areas where things are still a little bit slow. One of those northbound I-15 approaching the I-80 East turnoff to go into Sugar House. And again, just as you get into downtown Salt Lake. Also, if you're on I-215 heading eastbound in the Murray area, things are still slightly under the speed limit between State Street and the Union Park Avenue exit. And then if you're up in Summit County, eastbound I-80, you have the typical delays only in the right lane of I-80 as you try to exit at US 40. Arctic Spas, hot tubs, and swim spas with stores in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Comfort with multi-level seating, 100% massaging jets, and adjustable pillows. ArcticSpasUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have rain today, maybe some thunderstorms this afternoon. More of the same tomorrow. The highs will be in the 50s both today and tomorrow before it clears out some on Friday. Right now it's 52 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Inside Sources. I am alongside Holly again today, back together after being 2 weeks apart. And we're talking today about the redistricting and where we are with that. The Republican Party has announced now, and this seems to be a moving target literally every day, and maybe our listeners wonder why we talk about it so much.
I know, right?
It's because something is happening on it virtually every day. Before we back up too much, what happened now is that the Republican Party has announced an initiative to repeal the redistricting law known as Proposition 4. In other words, I think, Holly, what they're doing is proposing another ballot initiative to do away with the 2018 ballot initiative.
Yeah,
right.
That's right. And this is the Utah GOP that we're talking about. But it's actually a two-pronged effort. So there's two things. There's that initiative to undo the Proposition 4, which was the Utah Independent Redistricting Commission initiative. And it also has a referendum to overturn the map that was just adopted by the Utah legislature.
Yeah, so that one's a little more confusing. Let's start with the initiative because and maybe back up. So in 2018, Utah voters went to the ballot on what was then now still called Proposition 4,
right,
which was an initiative, a voter initiative to create a redistricting commission, which later became a bipartisan commission to propose boundaries for our legislature in response to what was seen by some people as some gerrymandering that has occurred in the state. That happened. They passed they proposed some maps to the legislature. The legislature wrote their own maps, let's face it, and we've been dealing with that since the legislative session made that change. A group of plaintiffs, including the League of Women Voters and a couple others, filed a lawsuit against the legislature and others, saying you have failed to follow the will of the citizens. That is the ballot initiative. A judge agreed with them in part, but sent it back for each side to propose new maps, propose whatever maps they thought were fair. And she went through a series of requirements, well, not necessarily requirements, but things that were necessary for these maps. There were like 5 or 6 that were
right, and they were laid out in the original Proposition 4, right? So even if they didn't adopt the ones that were the maps submitted by the Independent Redistricting Commission, they were still bound by these requirements that were then put into law because of the Citizens Initiative.
Yeah, and the legislature has consistently held that we are a state where our Constitution provides that the legislature decides boundaries. They seem fairly locked into that. They also are now sort of saying, hey, we're a republic, we don't want to make a democracy out of every single issue that comes up. You vote for us in office so we can do this kind of thing. Nonetheless, the judge gave pretty good deference to the citizens in their ballot initiative. And let's face it, it was a close call. But the Republicans now want to put this same thing on the ballot again in 2026.
Right.
Now, they've got to gather a gajillion signatures between now and then.
Yeah, 150,000 plus. It's a little bit more, but they have to be verified signatures. So they have to gather significantly more than that number so that any of the signatures that get thrown out won't take them below that threshold.
And they have to have signatures from at least half of the counties. So out of 29, they've got to get signatures from at least 15 counties.
Yeah, that's right.
Which shouldn't be too hard. 150,000 signatures. Now,
it actually is a lot harder than you think it is, and they only have 30 days to do it.
Yeah, they have until. So I wasn't sure whether they have 40 days from the special session or 40 days.
They have to have them submitted by November 15th.
Wow. Okay, so they're under the gun quite a bit.
They are, yeah.
So that's the initiative process, and the Republicans have proposed that. I before we move on from that, I just want to say, I think that the weight of public opinion is still in favor of redistricting and still in favor of
independent.
So I'm not sure that this ballot initiative is going to do as well as the Republicans think. I mean, I can understand the mess that's been created, and by both sides. Everybody's made this more difficult than it needed to be, but I don't know that the voters have an appetite to throw that all out.
I don't either, and this wouldn't even throw that out. What it would do is put it on the ballot for next year, so not this year,
right?
But next year, right, where citizens would then again weigh in again, and
that's what I meant by that's when they would throw it out, so to speak.
That's right. So it's not even going to impact this upcoming midterm election, where we are going to have a new map for 4 congressional districts in Utah
for 2026.
For 2026, but it would throw it out for the next one if it were to pass. So you have to know there were 6 sponsors on these 2 documents. So you have the initiative, but you also have a referendum. You had Utah Attorney General Derek Brown, actually. You had former Representative Rob Bishop. You had Republican National Committeeman Brad Bonham, Cody Stewart, Carolyn Phippen, and then GOP Chair Rob Axson, who signed these documents saying we want to move forward with this.
That's a who's who of Utah Republicans, let's face it.
Yeah, right. So we also have this referendum that I want to talk about. So similar process. The initiative would change Utah code, right? And it would actually strip out all the language from Prop 4 if it were to pass. The referendum would overturn this map that is not formally adopted yet, but will be soon. That's the presumption, right? That it'll be accepted by the courts and put in place for the 2026 election cycle. But what it would do is overturn that, and then it would go back to the default language that was passed in 2021, the current map, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the referendum would overturn the judge's upcoming decision? I mean, I've been trying to read, and I should know this because I'm the lawyer in the room, the difference between an initiative and a referendum. The initiative process seems fairly straightforward, the ballot initiative, the voter initiative, whatever you want to call it, to get something on the ballot. The referendum seems to be a little different, and I'm not sure that I can – I'm reading the language about it, but I don't understand it.
Well, you are the attorney in the room, but as I understand it, right, the initiative really hits to the heart of the constitutionality of Proposition 4. I'm not sure why there's 2 different ones. I'm sure we can ask our upcoming guests. We're going to hear from Better Boundaries, who were the plaintiffs in the lawsuit, but we're also going to hear from Rob Axson a little bit later in the show so that we can get their input from both sides. But one of the things I think that you have to understand is, how do you present this to the public? Right. I mean, that's a question. How do you present this to the public in a way that says, we think you made a mistake, so we want you to undo what you did, without sounding like maybe you don't value the public's input?
you didn't know what you were doing. But I mean, and this whole idea of the citizen ballot initiative is, I think, new to some of us because we don't have it happen that often in Utah. It's causing fear with others because I've heard several legislators say we don't want to become California, where everything on the ballot is a ballot initiative.
Right.
I don't see that happening in Utah. On the other hand, the legislators do say, hey, you elect us to office. If you don't like something, vote us out. You get different legislators. Don't vote your own laws.
Right. And again, I think you have this separation. Is it a separation of powers? It's a joint powers with Utah citizens and with the legislature, and there has to be some ability for citizens to weigh in on their government. And I personally believe that it needs to be more than just voting. I get that is one way, but I don't think it's the only way. And so far in Utah, that is correct. It's not the only way.
And as you said at the beginning, it's not that easy to get something on the ballot. It's not like you just put it on. You have to.
It's a lot of signatures. They have to be verified, right? And then the language that shows up on the ballot in 2026 has to be clear, right? Last year, ballot initiative was thrown out because the language was misleading and confusing, and it has to be clear. So we'll see how that works out. So again, if you stay with us over the break, we're going to be talking with Elizabeth Rasmussen from Better Boundaries with their reaction to the initiative and referendum efforts. So stay with us.
The KSL News Radio app will update you on breaking stories.
Red Cross brought relief supplies.
And you'll get exclusive audio streams from local events, breaking news, and sports.
Cougars feel like they can overcome anything.
All of your favorite KSL hosts are there too, so you can listen anytime. Plus traffic and weather. Download it today. The app for KSL News Radio.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. In celebration of over 32 years of serving humans in Utah with their computer and tech needs, we've slashed our prices. And these are the new 2025 models. Here's the deal. You can get our new 2025 S1 desktop with a blazing Ryzen 5 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing fast storage on this promotion. We also have our new 2025 SM3 laptop with the Intel i5 processor, 16 gigs, and over a terabyte of storage for $999. You can take one home today for $999. And you also get the peace of mind of our lifetime service warranty. We also have 12 months special financing available, and they start as low as $29 a month. But hurry in because supplies are limited. Because at PC Laptops, we love you. PCLaptops.com. Take home a blazing fast 2025 model desktop or laptop for $999 at PCLaptops.com.
And sometimes a deal is so good that they decide to extend it because they want more people to have an opportunity. That's what Bedrock Quartz is doing with their employee pricing deal.
They are extending it through the month of October, so you pay what an employee would pay, and you can get your new kitchen or your new bathroom done before the holidays.
The only limit is your imagination. They have over 100 different options for countertops, including quartz, quartzite, granite, marble. They can do bathrooms. What can't they do? They do backsplashes.
And their attention to detail is extraordinary. Andy and I went to their facility in West Jordan where they cut the marble and the quartz, and just to see how meticulous they were with cutting that stone, not to mention the installation process.
Yeah, they do 35 kitchens every day, so they're experienced, they're proficient, and they'll work with you. Whatever you want, they can take care of.
They've got showrooms all over the place in West Jordan, Layton, Murray, Park City, Sandy, Pleasant Grove, Spanish Fork, St. George, and Salt Lake City, but
you can also go to bedrockquartz.com.
At Common Spirit Health, we know that lifelong health and well-being starts with primary care. So we have doctors and providers who see you, hear you, know you, and understand you. Because understanding you means understanding your needs. And that leads to a deeper knowledge of the prevention, wellness, and treatment options that may be best for you. It's primary care that treats your whole family like family. It's primary care with human kindness. Discover all the ways you can find and connect with a primary care provider at mountain.commonspirit.org.
If you are facing divorce, call Cordell and Cordell today.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. CordellCordell.com.
More fiber and laxatives, eh?
Who are you?
I'm Future You.
Future me?
Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Our doctor figured it out. It's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
It's time to give away another Cougar keyword.
And that was the Cougar Growl. Every day this week, we're giving away a pair of tickets to Saturday's rivalry game. That's the BYU game. BYU is number 15. BYU is hosting number 23 Utah Saturday night at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Kickoff is at 6 p.m. And we're giving away a pair of tickets. And you have to listen here for the word of the day.
Well, it's
word of the hour.
Word of the hour. So at 20 after. So the Cougar keyword this hour is rush. You have to text that in to 57500. Spell it correctly. It's RUSH. Text 57500 for your chance to win.
And that's what BYU does very, very, very well is rush. So that's rush to 57500. It's that easy. Be sure to increase your chance of winning by listening next hour at 10:20 for the next Cougar keyword. Good luck. You'll find out more details on our website at kslnewsradio.com contests.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So in the last segment, Holly, you and I were able to talk about the two things that the Republicans are attempting to do right now, which was an initiative application and a referendum petition, which are sort of similar but not the same.
Right.
Going back to Proposition 4, which was the 2018 ballot initiative, where Utah voters voted to create an independent redistricting commission to make recommendations to the legislature. Of course, things didn't turn out the way some people wanted. Lawsuits were filed, and we're still in the middle of a lawsuit that includes an evidentiary hearing here coming up very quickly for a judge to hear from both sides, from all sides, and try to come up with a map for the 2026 legislative election.
Right. So one of the things that's happening, right, is all these things are happening simultaneously. Is now we have this new effort by members of the Utah Republican Party who are trying to basically overturn the Citizens Initiative and undo the map. So we have joining us today Elizabeth Rasmussen. She's the executive director of Better Boundaries, one of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit. And Elizabeth, what is happening?
Really great question. We're asking the same thing, but it seems like in redistricting, anything can happen, and we're a little concerned about the Utah GOP's effort to undo the will of the people right now.
So one of those things that they're doing to try to undo the will of the people is to get to the people again with another initiative, and they made an application yesterday with the Lieutenant Governor's office to actually get the steps going toward another initiative. It seems to me, Elizabeth, that given the weight of public sentiment, this may not go as well as they think, because I think that the majority of Utahns still feel like they should have some input in districting.
Yes, exactly. And that's what we're hearing as well. And really, when you take party labels off of everything that's happening, what is happening is a group of people in power are deciding to ignore a large number of Utahns who already spoke through the ballot box through an initiative that won't go to the ballot box. It will go to the legislature instead. And so that's the nuance here that is really problematic for us and something we're trying to call out.
So what is your response officially as you heard this news yesterday?
I was pretty disappointed, and I'm feeling a lot of just anger and sadness among people on the ground. I mean, we're a grassroots organization. We ran a ballot initiative in 2018. We went through the ballot box, got a majority of Utahns, 500,000, and seeing that they are finding a way to subvert the will of the people by gathering far fewer number of signatures and then going to the legislature, who has been very clear from the beginning they don't want Prop 4, is a problem. And all we want is for Utahns to be represented. And we just don't understand why they can't just respect the people who elected them in the first place.
And it seems, Elizabeth, like whether it's the Republicans or the legislature or maybe some combination are really coming at this now from four different angles. One is this new initiative that they want to put a ballot initiative on the 2026 ballot. This referendum petition to do away with the map that was proposed the last week, I think, and I may get these wrong. They're also still contesting what the judge is doing in her hearing coming up, and they're still arguing at the Supreme Court. So there are maybe four different options here, and that's such a moving target for you all. I don't know how you're able to sort of respond to all of this.
I mean, it comes with a lot of lack of sleep on my end, that's for sure. But we have a great legal team who's working really hard. on this. We have great plaintiffs in the case who are also on the ground doing a lot of great work. And we're trying our best to make sure this law is implemented. That's our one and only goal. And so whatever we have to do to make sure that happens, we're ready for the challenge.
Elizabeth, can you tell our listeners the difference between initiative and referendum and why the GOP is trying both tracks?
Yes, definitely. So for the initiative, this is an indirect initiative, which instead of requiring 140-ish thousand signatures across 26 out of the 29 site districts, it only requires about 70,000-ish signatures across those districts. And then it goes to the legislature in the next general session to vote yes or no on. The referendum is to call back a law or something that the legislature has passed. I mean, we saw that earlier this year with the effort with Utah, Protect Utah Workers. They're doing it with MAP C. The legislature has passed MAP C, but what's interesting is that's not law yet. It's not adopted. It's just submitted to the court. So I guess they're anticipating it will be accepted by the court, even though they haven't decided on which MAP will be implemented. And if that's the case and the referendum is successful, they'll say we don't want MAP C, and we kind of have to go back to the drawing board. And so really anything could happen. But the timeline for the referendum is much longer. Like you said, it will be on the 2026 ballot if they gather the signatures, whereas this indirect initiative, they have to gather the signatures by November 15th. And then it will be, if they're successful there, it will be considered in the session that starts in January.
So at the evidentiary hearings coming up on this, Elizabeth, it's not a foregone conclusion necessarily that the judge will be asked to either accept or reject MAP C. There are other proposals in front of her, and I believe, and there's going to be an evidentiary hearing where experts will come in from both sides and say, here's why this MAP either fails in light of the court's ruling and the four corners of Proposition 4, or here's why it passes. Am I right?
Yes, it's correct. Hearing should be next week. That's what the judge has tentatively said for the schedule ahead of the November 10th deadline to select a map. And right now they're considering 3 maps. 2 are from the plaintiffs and 1 is from the legislature, MAP C, which is what this referendum is all about.
So it really is a moving target. So are we safe in assuming that there will be a new map for the 2026 congressional election cycle?
As far as what we're seeing, the lieutenant governor's office has been pretty clear that a map needs to be in place by November. I mean, the deadline used to be November 1st. Now it's November 10th for elections to actually go forward. I mean, we need candidate filings. We need all this.
Right.
But there's also this unknown because we're seeing so many unprecedented things right now. So at this time, it's hard to say with 100% certainty what will happen next year because we just keep seeing new things pop up every day. Like you said, it's a moving target.
And this had to be, I don't know, was this even expected what happened yesterday with the initiative and the referendum applications, or is this one of those nothing surprises us anymore?
I was surprised still. I mean, we heard about it yesterday afternoon, and we thought we only had 3 things we had to work on. Now we have this 4th outlier to protect what Utahns voted for. And so that's why we can't say anything certain right now because these things keep popping up and we keep learning new things about this whole process.
So one final question in our last minute. Some of the arguments I've seen being made for this new initiative process to overturn Prop 4 is that the members of the public didn't really know what they were voting for. What's your response to that?
I think that is very disrespectful to voters. I trust voters a little bit more, and I can say that as a voter who voted for Prop 4. I was an undergraduate student at BYU at the time. I had learned about partisan gerrymandering. I'd seen it, and I signed it because I believed in this. And so many of our supporters, our grassroots supporters, knew exactly what they were signing. And they have been in this fight with us for 7 years to get it implemented. So to say that they didn't understand it is a huge disservice and honestly very disrespectful to voters. And I just hope the GOP and the GOP party leaders in the legislature would have more respect for voters than that.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was Elizabeth Rasmussen, Executive Director of Better Boundaries. And it gives you some idea, Holly, of how long this has been going. She was an undergraduate student at BYU
right.
at the time. Now she's the Executive Director of Better Boundaries.
Yeah.
It has been, 7 years since the 2018 election where this was passed. When we come back after the break, a former Box Elder County judge accused of having inappropriate child material is in court today and asking that he be released on bail. We'll break down what's latest on that case and what's expected from his court appearance today, and another Box Elder County official, the former fire chief down there. We'll be back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story: police are looking for 2 cars they say were involved in a shooting as they drove down State Street between Midvale and Sandy last night. Unified Police say this happened between about 8400 and 90th South around 5:40 last night. Investigators say someone in a car fired around 6 shots at another car, but police have not located the cars or the people in them yet. They're asking anyone with video footage or information to give them a call. Uinta School District is asking drivers to put the brakes on school bus violations. KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi reports.
There were 27 so-called red light runners in September. That's almost half the total number from last year. The violators drive around the buses while the red lights are flashing and the stop sign is out. Officials say it's not only illegal, it's life-threatening for children getting off and on the bus. The district hopes to get the message out that violators will probably be caught because they're now caught on camera.
The fine for the first offense is $1,000, which escalates with subsequent violations. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: Israel has closed one of the aid crossings in and out of Gaza, claiming Hamas is not holding up their end to the ceasefire deal and not all the remains of the deceased hostages have been returned. More from ABC's Ian Pannell in Tel Aviv.
We saw a few of the hostage families still waiting for closure, and they want Israel and America to not forget that their loved ones have still not been returned. Today, the first funeral for one of those captives, his parents waiting over 2 years to finally bury their son.
Hamas says the remains are buried under rubble. Your money at this moment: the Dow is up 254 right now. We're at 46,524. Coming up, a chance of rain today and tomorrow before it clears out for the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
If you have Medicaid and are new to Medicare, you may qualify to enroll in a Humana Medicare Advantage dual-eligible special needs plan with a lot more benefits, like dental, vision, and hearing, along with helpful support when you need it most. Now is the time to see if you qualify to enroll. It only takes a few minutes to find out if you're eligible. Our licensed sales agents are ready to help you understand your options. So this Medicare planning season, we can help you plan well. Learn more at humanaduals.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a dual-eligible special needs PPO SNP plan with a Medicare contract and a contract with the state Medicaid program. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want you to know that it's the little things that count. Any remodeler can say they treat customers right when it comes to siding, gutters, windows, and exteriors. It's hard to know for sure. If a contractor uses cheap generic nails instead of super grippy ridge shaft nails for your siding, would you even know? If they use cheap $4 caulk to install your new windows instead of paying $9 a tube for the good stuff, could you tell by looking? It all comes down to the details and trust. At RGS Exteriors, we only do things one way, the right way. We never cut corners. We never skimp on details. We never do less than the job requires. That's why we offer our industry's exclusive 10-year everything guarantee. And it's why we have the happiest customers. If you need any gutters, siding, or replacement windows, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or online at rgsutah.com.
Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And back to you, Heather.
We do have a closure in Mill Creek area. This is on 1300 East at 3300 South. Looks like all westbound lanes of travel on 3300 South are closed right now. This was from the water main break that happened yesterday, but they've had to close the road to try to continue to fix it. And a couple of the southbound lanes on 13th East also look like they may be closed. If not, maybe one is open, but just use caution in that area. The good news is your freeways are back to normal speeds all across the Wasatch Front. No delays on I-15, the east or west side belt routes, or 201 freeway. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, we'll have rain off and on, thunderstorms this afternoon. Much of the same tomorrow before it clears out for the weekend. Highs in the 50s today and tomorrow. Right now, it's 52 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
A former Box Elder County judge, Kevin Christensen, will be in court today in Box Elder County asking that he be released from custody 6 months after he was accused and arrested on sex crimes. He was charged with multiple second-degree felonies, I think about a dozen or so, and he's scheduled to be in court today. Actually, in Box Elder County. The case was transferred to Weber County because he was a judge in Box Elder County. He's been in custody, Holly, for about 6 months, and I'm surprised to learn that this is his first bail hearing. Usually it's the first hearing you have, not the one you have 6 months later. So he is asking that whatever's happened in the interim since he's been in custody there, and he's currently in custody, I believe, in the Weber County Jail for the same reason, that he be released, or at least that he get some bail set.
So let me ask you, why is he eligible for bail?
So in Utah, and we've actually got a fairly loose bail standard here in Utah, which I think is generally good. Anyone's entitled to bail except under certain circumstances, such as a serious offense like an aggravated murder. There's no bail.
Right.
We also have this thing we call felony on felony. If you have a felony while you're already out on another felony, like that's kind of a King's X thing.
Okay.
But a judge can effectively set bail in an amount that makes it no bail. Let's say that you have a case that's not that serious, and the judge says, "Well, I have to set bail, so I'll set it at $1 million," or you know what I mean, something that's almost impossible to get. And in Utah, you can get bail any of several ways. You can either post cash. Let's say you have a $10,000 bail, you can go pay $10,000 to the court and get out. You can give $1,000, which is 10% to a bail bondsman, or you can sometimes put up your property, your home,
sure,
if it's worth the value. So he's having that hearing at 9:00 this morning now, and we may get we may get a ruling from the judge on that. But he is asking that, notwithstanding the severity of his charges, and these are second-degree felonies, so they're not murder charges, they're not first-degree felonies. They're serious. They each carry 1 to 15 years in prison, and he's facing quite a number of them. I think a total of 9 felonies. So it is serious. But you would expect in Utah a person charged with second-degree felonies without a prior history, and he was a judge, so I'm assuming he doesn't have a record, would be entitled to some level of bail. I'm just surprised we haven't addressed this before.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's interesting to me. Would he be considered a flight risk? Probably not. I mean, but I don't know.
Yeah, the state's arguing that he's a risk to the community because of his conduct.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know the judge. I appeared before him. He seemed very, very professional and very, polite. I never had any concerns about him, but there may also be some concern that he might harm himself or something like that. And I'm not suggesting anything, but sometimes when you have somebody like this who's high profile and they're charged with such serious crimes, and what he was accused of doing was contacting or attempting to contact children in various ways, and using graphic photographs of himself to make that contact. I mean, those are the allegations here. So he's charged with enticing a minor, which is the solicitation, if you will, for contact with a minor, and then dealing in materials harmful to a minor, which is the exchanging of inappropriate images. Materials harmful to a minor is what you might expect it to be. So he's got a number of those counts. Both counts charged multiple times to a total of 9 total. And there are a couple counts that aren't quite as serious, but again, once you have more than 3 or 4 second-degree felonies, I think he's got a total of 8. They're very serious because they each carry 1 to 15 years in prison.
So is that court hearing is underway right now? Is that correct?
Yes, it underway. Started at 9 o'clock this morning. We may get a ruling on that shortly. So what happened was the defense apparently had something new come up, some information that came up that led them to believe that he was because they've submitted some documentation and it's sealed. We don't know what it is right now. Maybe a psychological report, maybe a mental health evaluation. Maybe he sought some treatment since he's been in custody. Maybe he's eligible to enter into some level of treatment. So and he's probably proposed, for example, that he will live in the area, that he will surrender his passport, that he will call in daily to a pretrial services type agency, and that he'll post his property, whether it's his home or cash or something like that, so that there's a hook if he bolts, that he will suffer the consequences of that.
Right. Okay, so what is happening in the case of the Tremont fire chief? That was around the same time, I think.
Yeah, so this is Chief Ned Brady. He was the Tremont fire chief. He served honorably in Logan. He had a very prestigious career. He's charged with only 1 count, but it's much more serious. He's charged with aggravated sexual abuse of a child, which is a crime involving contact, a crime involving abuse. That count was filed literally the same time. It was filed shortly thereafter, but these cases sort of arose out of the same investigation, and there was some interplay between the two men and conversations and whatnot. His case has been pending for some time. He's also in custody. He's also being prosecuted in Weber County because of the conflict, because he was a fire chief in Box Elder County, and his case has been moving forward, but not necessarily quickly. They haven't even had a preliminary hearing on that case. They've got a hearing coming up not until November 10th, to decide if there's going to be a preliminary hearing. Interestingly, and I suppose it's a coincidence, that both cases are being heard before the same judge. So what happens is when a case is filed, it's randomly assigned to a judge. In Weber County, I don't know how many, let's say there's 15 judges, but maybe more or less than that. So your chances of getting the same judge is 1 in 15.
Sure.
And I'm not saying anything happened, but it looks like both of these were assigned to the same judge for some reason. They're not co-defendants. They're not charged under the same information, but they were both assigned to the same judge. Now, when I say 15, there's some in Ogden and some in Davis County, or Weber County and Davis County, so maybe the number is a little bit smaller. But still, that's a little bit unusual that both defendants got the same judge.
Yeah, interesting. So one of the things I guess people, I would have a question. Is there any difference at all because of their, I guess, public persona? I think judge and fire chief, or maybe would they be held to a higher standard? Is there anything different there?
I would say this, having represented judges, police officers, school principals, people like that the system, the law doesn't hold them to a higher standard. The law says if you commit the crime, you do the time. Like let's say it's a DUI or shoplift or something. Sure. But the judge and the prosecutors will hold you to a higher standard because of the hypocrisy of it. If you're a high level person, and let's say you're a school teacher and you're abusing kids,
right?
I mean, there's a high level of hypocrisy there. Or you're a religious leader and you're looking at inappropriate materials, or that type of thing.
Right.
So the law does take that into account, and judges will take that into account. And so if this judge is guilty of these crimes, even though they're second-degree felonies, where you and I would probably not serve prison time, or someone in our positions, it would be likely that he will do some serious time. And he's already done some serious time. He's
Right.
been in jail for 6 months now. But, yeah, he'll be held to a higher standard by the sentencing judge, not by
Okay.
not
Yeah.
by the court of public opinion. Well, obviously it will be by the court of public opinion, but not on whether or not he's guilty or not, just what his punishment should be.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Yesterday, the First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was reorganized. So when we come back after the break, we're going to go in depth just a little bit more on the new leadership team. Coming up next, we're streaming live at kslnewsradio.com, and we're on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. Stay with us.
I have to admit, it drives me nuts when we start talking about Christmas so early in the year, but it is a good time right now for you to make your reservations for the family gathering, for the company party, all kinds of special events during the holidays. Make your reservations right now. It's not too early at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. What a great way to welcome out-of-town guests, to thank your employees for a great year at your business. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse during the holidays, too, is just magical. The 2 locations, Hotel Park City, right up there in that beautiful mountain environment, and of course where all the hustle and bustle of the city is happening, 275 Southwest Temple in Salt Lake City. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for the holidays, and you will get that perfectly prepared steak and so much more at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
When it comes to your electrical system, do you know the warning signs to look for? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's okay if you don't know, but here are a few things that you might not even realize could be a sign of a bigger problem. Wall plates that are hot to the touch, discoloration around switches or outlets, if you hear crackling or popping or buzzing around switches or outlets, a breaker that trips a lot, switches that feel loose when you operate them, if your lights dim or flicker when a major appliance comes on, if your plugs fall out of the wall easily. You know, you're not supposed to have to bend the prongs out on a plug just to get it to stay in the wall. If you notice any of these things, you should consider having a licensed electrician check your system out. If you don't know anyone, Any Hour Services has put together a radio-only special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive electrical inspection and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. To schedule your comprehensive electrical inspection by a licensed electrician for only $29, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7300. That's 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, October 25th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
Makita's built for the pros who show up early, who don't do shortcuts, only precise cuts. With tools built to last, job after job, year after year. Performance that pays off, because when the job calls for the best, you answer. And when you need the best, you call on Makita. Built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. Be the someone who gives their time. Be the someone who lends an ear. Be the someone who takes a step. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN, asking you to join the fight against sexual violence and volunteer in your community. Log on to RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org, to learn how you can be the someone.
This message brought to you by the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network and this station.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
So yesterday, we right after our show ended, we had the announcement. Well, actually, it was about an hour, but we had the announcement that the First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was reorganized, and so we have now as the president of the church, it's President Dallin H. Oaks, and as his first counselor, Henry B. Eyring, and as his second counselor, we have D. Todd Christofferson. So joining us yesterday was Sarah Weaver, and joining us again today is Sarah Weaver, because now we know who the people are. So thanks for joining us, Sarah.
Well, I'm really excited to be here to talk about these great men.
Great. So we talked a little bit yesterday about President Oaks. We were pretty sure he was going to be the president. Tell us a little bit about the first and second counselor. So we know Henry B. Eyring has served with 3 other first presidency. This is now his 4th. But tell us a little bit more about him and a little bit about Elder President Christofferson.
Well, what an interesting group to have President Oaks, President Eyring, President Christofferson make up this first presidency. Both President Oaks and President Christofferson have a legal background. President Oaks graduating in Chicago, and President Christofferson doing his law training at Duke. And each of them bring some really, really unique experiences. You know, President Oaks was on the short list to be on the U.S. Supreme Court on several occasions, served on the Utah Supreme Court. And as a former BYU president, President Eyring also has a background in education. He himself was a university president in Rexburg at what is now BYU, Idaho. And that story really tells who he is as a person. He was living on some property near Stanford University that his in-laws owned. It was a very comfortable life. His father-in-law was a commercial real estate developer, and working as a tenured professor at Stanford University. When he was asked to move to Rexburg, Idaho, now to be the president of what was then a 2-year institution. And there wasn't even a president's house when they moved there. The Eyring spent their first winter there in a double-wide trailer.
Oh wow!
And Rexburg winters are not mild. And they'd come from this California, very comfortable, very warm winters, and yet they did it because they knew that there would be times when the Lord asked them to walk away from the comfort into something different. And President Eyring has talked about that. He's talked about his devotion to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and his willingness to do that. And even just recently, when we were doing an interview with him, he said, those were the best years of our lives. You know, those years in Rexburg where they just went there and they did what they were asked, brought them so much joy. Now, President Christofferson, he also comes from this law background. And was a Supreme Court law clerk in the wake of Watergate. And I think that shaped his perspectives about integrity and truth and the way we behave, and the idea that what we do in private should be the same as what we do in public. And so he has this unique legal background. I'm also always so impressed because he can talk about the law to people like me who don't understand the law. He's very good at interpreting things and making them understandable to those of us who don't understand bigger concepts.
Sarah, can you talk to our listeners who may not be familiar with the process, including myself a little bit, about what happened yesterday and how the selection was made, even as it relates to President Oaks, because a lot of people felt that he was the next in line, and maybe that's a matter of just habit, or maybe there's more to it. But how was the selection made of all three of the presidency now?
So when a prophet and president dies, the first thing that happens is that the first presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is immediately dissolved. And every person who is in senior leadership of the church goes back to the Quorum of the 12 in order of seniority, which is the order they were called. And there is a period where they mourn the previous leader, and then the next part of it is they look forward. This is called a apostolic interrectum. We also see that in the Catholic Church with a papal interrectum, and so you have these very interesting sort of in between periods. The way the Church of Jesus Christ moves on after those in between periods is for the senior leaders of the church to gather. They gather in the temple, and they contemplate two questions. One is now the time to reconstitute the first presidency, and who should it be? Now, in the history of the church, by tradition, it has always been the most senior leader in the Quorum of the 12. Now, it would hard to know if that could ever be anything different. In 2018, President Russell M. Nelson said, "There's never a surprise. It's always going to be that." So I think we felt very comfortable saying it's always going to be that. These are men who have been leaders of so many important things in education, in law, in business. And yet one of the qualities that all the senior leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints have is that they're also followers. They look to that senior leader. They look to Jesus Christ, and they know how to follow. So I don't think anyone was surprised that the decision was made to reconstitute the first presidency, and President Oaks was called to lead the church. Now President Eyring had served as a counselor with President Oaks. He was moved to first counselor, and then the decision is made by President Oaks who else to call into that first presidency, and then President Oaks was ordained. The tradition is that all the members of the Quorum of the 12 lay hands upon his head, and that the current president of the Quorum of the 12, who is just under, so the person who is just next in seniority to him, in this case it would have been Jeffrey R. Holland, is voice to that ordination.
So let me ask you this. I remember when President Nelson became the president of the church, there was a national news organization that said, he's kind of old. We don't anticipate any big changes here. And of course, they were wildly wrong. What can we anticipate with this new presidency?
I think you're going to see a steady, very, very interesting period that comes forth from this. We got to see a little bit of President Oaks' sense of humor in General Conference, where he actually said, "Look, I know there's been this period where we've had a lot of quick changes. President Nelson is a surgeon. He had to make instant decisions. He had to be very, very decisive." And then in such a delightful way, he said, attorneys do things different. We debate, we talk, we discuss, we filibuster, we do all of these things. And I don't think we're going to see a slowing down. I think we will see a continued deliberateness and a continuing what leaders of the church call hastening of the Lord's work across the earth. And so I bet we should do the same as we did with President Nelson. Buckle our seatbelts and get ready.
And take our vitamins, right, and put on our running shoes.
I was familiar with President Oaks because he was on the Utah Supreme Court when I started practicing law. He became an apostle very shortly thereafter, but he had an incredibly great presence as a lawyer, as a justice, as a member of the Utah Supreme Court. And but I'm not familiar with President Christofferson, and I didn't realize until today that he was law trained. In fact, you said he went to Duke. So, I mean, he's very well law trained, and he worked as a clerk for the United States Supreme Court or something like that. I guess that selection wasn't a surprise, or there really isn't a surprise.
He worked as a corporate attorney. I've wondered over all these years, one of the reasons that it's so easy for him to talk about the law is that he had to interpret the law to his bosses in a corporate setting,
right?
Which is a little different, as you know, than speaking directly to a judge who's also trained in the law, and so he is enormously gifted in legal studies. He has this very incredible background. And he and President Oaks are going to be able to take that experience with President Eyring and do what needs to be done at this time in the history of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. That was very interesting, very informative. When we come back after the break, GOP Chairman Rob Axa joins us to share why he felt it was important to collect signatures for a new initiative and a referendum regarding redistricting. We'll be right back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Police are looking for 2 cars they say were involved in a shooting as they drove down State Street between Midvale and Sandy last night. Unified Police say this happened between about 8400 and 90th South around 540 last night. Investigators say someone in a car fired around 6 shots at another car, but police have not located the cars or the people in them yet. They're asking anyone with video footage or information to give them a call. A report from the Utah System of Higher Education shows a big increase in enrollment in our colleges and universities. Southern Utah University reported an almost 2.5% enrollment increase from last fall. The U welcomed the largest incoming class in the school's history. And Salt Lake Community College announced a record enrollment up almost 15% from last year. Utah Tech, Utah State, and Weber State also saw increases. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, Fox News has joined NBC, CBS, ABC, and CNN in saying they will not agree to a new list of rules for journalists covering the Pentagon. All of the networks say the rules created by Secretary Pete Hegseth threaten core journalistic protections. Hegseth says any network not agreeing to his rules will lose their press credentials to cover the Pentagon. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 101. Right now, that's 0.2%. We're at 46,386. Coming up, scattered thunderstorms today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Upgrade your hunting arsenal with premium brands at great prices during the Shields Hunting Sale event happening now through October 19th. Scope out savings on your favorite brands in camo, rifles, ammunition, and so much more. Like $200 off the Sitka Fanatic jacket and up to $500 off the Leupold VX5 HD rifle scope. Join the community of hunters who trust Shields experts to outfit their adventures and get more bang for your buck now through October 19th at Shields.
It's the Medicare Advantage annual enrollment period, and Humana knows not everyone has the same needs when picking a Medicare Advantage plan.
Now that I'm retired, I want to enjoy the life I've worked hard to build. So I want a plan that covers me when I'm traveling the country.
Humana has a plan for that.
As a veteran, I want a plan that fills in the gaps my VA coverage doesn't provide, like dental care.
Humana has a plan for that.
I feel good about my health. I just want care and coverage with predictable costs. No surprises.
Humana has a plan for that. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you get coverage and benefits that focus on what matters most to you. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, We're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And back to you, Heather.
Well, things are running along pretty smoothly now all across the Wasatch Front. Looks like most of the roads are dry, but we have had some scattered rain showers this morning moving across various parts of the valleys, especially up north in Weber County. So far, though, looks like the major freeways are dry, especially I-15, both directions, heading into downtown Salt Lake. No delays right now coming out of Tooele County on SR 36 or I-80, and the city streets are in great shape as well, with no accidents reported right now. Just a reminder, part of the intersection of 3300 South, 1300 East and Mill Creek is shut down while crews try to repair a water main break from yesterday. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Salt Lake City should see a high around 57 today with some thunderstorms in northern Utah. More rain tomorrow with a high of 52. Right now it's cloudy and 54 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We know that the Utah Republican Party has announced an initiative to repeal the state's redistricting law known as Proposition 4. Earlier in the show, we spoke with Elizabeth Rasmussen, Executive Director of Better Boundaries. Here's some of what she had to say about this initiative to overturn Proposition 4.
And really, when you take party labels off of everything that's happening, what is happening is a group of people in power are deciding to ignore a large number of Utahns who already spoke through the ballot box through an initiative that won't go to the ballot box. It will go to the legislature instead. And so that's the nuance here that is really problematic for us and something we're trying to call out.
So we have with us on the line Rob Axon. He's the chairman of the Utah GOP, and he also is one of the people who signed on to this indirect initiative process and the referendum. Rob, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to be with you guys.
So can you tell us why are you pushing forward this indirect initiative, and why is it different than an initiative?
Yeah, so a couple of reasons. First and foremost, as to why I feel compelled to do this, and so many other Utahns do as well, is you look at what our country's founding was based on, and that was the principles of a constitutional republic, not a direct democracy. And you come to Utah. Utah as a state was established reaffirming those same principles. And this move away from representative government will be to our long-term detriment. And the decisions made by the court and what they've done, they have every right to put forward their opinions, but we also, as the sovereigns, the citizens of Utah, have every right to object. And we are doing it through the legal process of providing Utahns the opportunity to object and say that they see things differently and would like a return to constitutional Republican principles rather than the elements and principles of that are more akin to a direct democracy.
So, Robert, can you get us up to speed on what exactly happened yesterday, what was filed, by whom, and what the next steps are with respect to those? Because we're sort of talking about two different filings, I think, an initiative application and a referendum petition. Maybe you can talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Utah's Constitution and in the code, we have the opportunity to do citizen initiatives. The state Supreme Court last year gave preference to citizen initiatives over actions taken by the legislature. That was their ruling last year. That was the ruling that Judge Gibson then relied on in her recent court decisions pertaining to the Proposition 4 question. So citizen initiatives are paramount here in Utah. We have two ways to do that. You can do a citizen initiative that then is ratified after the fact through the ballot box, or you also have an opportunity to have a citizens initiative that is ratified through legislative action. And that's the path that we are taking, is to send it to the people of Utah to consider, to sign their name onto. And then the ratification would be through their elected representatives in the state legislature. So that's the initiative, and that effort is to repeal the language in code established by Proposition 4. It's a belief that limiting the constitutional role and authority of the legislature is inappropriate, and we want to re-empower the transparent and fair process as established in our Constitution that goes through elected officials who are accountable to us at the ballot box. That second filing that we did yesterday was, as you mentioned, it was a referendum petition, and it's an opportunity for us to object to the process that the legislature was compelled to abide by last week. And they were forced to come up with a number of maps. They picked one map among those in compliance with the judge's orders. We encouraged them to pick map C. We felt that was best for the people of Utah among the options of the maps, but that doesn't mean we agreed with the process. So this referendum is to express to the public, to the legislature, and most importantly to the courts and others that are looking at this, that we have some deep concerns with the separation of powers being blurred here, of the courts weighing in and compelling our elected officials in the legislature.
So, Rob, let me ask you another clarifying question. If you get the signatures, which you only need half of what's required for a regular citizens initiative, is that correct? You need 70,000?
Yeah, you need 4% in a citizen initiative that then is ratified through the legislature, rather than 8% of registered voters if you go to the ballot box. And I'll tell you the reason we decided on that was mainly it's an element of the timing that we've been compelled to abide by with Judge Gibson's ruling. There's no reason that the state Supreme Court could not have found their decision faster than the nearly 7 years it took them, and there's no reason that Judge Gibson had to wait until the tail end of really the time frame to really do anything about this. She could have provided her ruling earlier in the year in the spring, which would have left a different shot clock for everybody to abide by.
So again, just another follow-up. So if you get these signatures, it goes to the legislature in the January legislative session. You've got the votes there to overturn Proposition 4, strip that language out of the code. Does the referendum then become moot?
That certainly would be a compelling argument, and that's one for the courts to decide and the process to decide. But ultimately, there's a lot of debate around what the code says and what the law says. If the law is no more, it's an interesting question as to whether or not we need that debate. The people of Utah 7 years ago had a 50-50 decision on an issue that they weren't all that aware of. It wasn't talked about. It was to the degree that it should have been. But this was in a ballot cycle where we had medical marijuana on the ballot. We had Medicaid expansion, a number of other initiatives. This was one of those. You had $2.8 million spent promoting this. You had $0 spent opposing it, and it literally was about a 50-50 issue. I think there was a 0.62% vote spread between this. So anybody who claims that the people of Utah have strongly spoken in one way or the other is mistaken. So we're giving the people of Utah an opportunity to weigh in again and see where they want to land on this issue.
But the weighing in is signing a petition, but ultimately the citizens won't vote on this, correct? Like they did in 2018.
Yeah, they won't vote on this, but assuming that is a negative, frankly, it gives away all of the elements that we benefit as Americans and as Utahns of living in representative government, living within a constitutional republic, having elected officials who live near us, who are accountable to us, who their kids may go to our kids' school. We may see them at the grocery store. These are people that represent literally just our neighborhoods, our local communities, maybe a couple of counties in some of these rural locations. They are available and accountable to us in a citizen legislature. That's something that we shouldn't be apologizing for. It's something that certainly is not a detriment. This is a benefit that has made the United States the best country and the most free country that creates all of our opportunities. So, yes, this doesn't go to the ballot directly for ratification, but it goes to the people accountable to the voters. That's a process that I'm proud of and I want to continue to protect.
Thanks for joining us. That was Rob Axson, chairman of the Utah GOP. So
did make a lot of sense. I mean, I like the way he explained it.
It's interesting, and I think it's really messy, honestly. I think it's really messy, and it becomes confusing, and that becomes problematic sometimes, too.
And almost likely to invite another lawsuit.
I think for sure. I think you can count on that. Okay, look, have you ever taken an airport selfie on your way out of town?
I haven't.
I have. I've done it on the airplane. I've posted, hey, headed out. Well, what if that one photo could cost your family thousands of dollars? Coming up, we're going to talk about how scammers are using your social media to launch a new kind of attack while you're 30,000 feet in the air. So, for me. Stay tuned.
The KSL News Radio app will update you on breaking stories.
Red Cross brought relief supplies.
And you'll get exclusive audio streams from local events, breaking news, and sports.
Cougars feel like they can overcome anything.
All of your favorite KSL hosts are there too, so you can listen anytime. Plus traffic and weather. Download it today. The app for KSL News Radio.
Cooler weather. What a relief, unless you have old drafty windows. Soon the heat will escape through the cracks and your energy bill is going to go through the roof. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products and get brand new state-of-the-art custom windows and frames at factory direct pricing. The factory is right here in Salt Lake City, where they've been building precision windows since 1986, and you're going to save a lot of money since there's no middleman markup. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows. Even better, call now and they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Double pane argon-filled windows with a low-energy triple coating, any style, any color, and Advanced Windows gives you a lifetime warranty. If you have an issue, they're not 10 states away. They're right here in town, and they offer 0% 60-month financing. So make the call now. Get $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
How do they get so excited about 50 yards? Think of what you could sew with that. But you need a really great sewing machine, a Bernina.
Get Bernina sewing, serging, and embroidery machines and accessories at fantastic prices. The Bernina Super Weekend Sale.
Don't miss this Dave's Bernina Super Saturday one-day event, October 18th at our Provo and St. George stores. Featuring 0% financing for 48 or 72 months on qualifying purchases made October 18th.
Save hundreds to thousands of dollars on all new Bernina machines. Even the most advanced sewing machine in the world, the Bernina 990, is on sale.
And receive a free $5,200 gift bundle.
Hurry in for amazing bargains on trade-ins and just out-of-the-box special event demo machines that come with warranties.
Unbeatable one-day Super Saturday, October 18th discounts and clearance items throughout the store.
Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
Makita knows that pros never settle, and neither do we. With Makita, you get tools that perform at the highest level, on every job, without compromise. Makita is for the most detailed pros, expertly engineered to deliver precision, job after job. When your work calls for the best, call on Makita. Makita, built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, October 25th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
If you are facing divorce, call Cordell and Cordell today.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. CordellCordell.com.
Of course, that's the Cougar growl. That means it's another time. It's time for another Cougar keyword.
Remember that every day through Thursday, we're giving away a pair of tickets to Saturday's rivalry game, the Holy War. It's a game you can listen to right here on the legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio.
Okay, are you ready for it?
I am.
The Cougar keyword this hour is SCORE, S-C-O-R-E. That's SCORE, S-C-O-R-E. Text the word SCORE right now to 57500 for your chance to win.
So spell it correctly, S-C-O-R-E, SCORE. We'll see how many points each team will score. And be sure to listen next hour at 11:20 for the next Cougar keyword. Good luck.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So right before the break, I was mentioning airport selfies, and I have done those. I usually don't do them in the airport. I usually do them on the airplane. So I've got my passport. We're sitting on the plane. And just recently, I was headed overseas, right? And we're taking photos. I did do that. But what if that photo could cost our family thousands of dollars? That would have been really awful, actually. So we're going to get more information about how fraudsters are watching your Facebook feed or your social media feed in general, waiting for you to literally take off before they're going after your loved ones with an imposter scam.
Yeah, and so we're going to learn about that. And, I love Matt Gephardt, but every time we talk to him, I learn about some new scam.
I know.
And it sort of tears your heart out to think people are just working it constantly. If people are trying to find a new scam, a new way to hurt people.
How vulnerable I am.
Yeah, thank goodness we have people like Matt Gephardt. Matt, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Wouldn't it be nice if these people put all that brain power and effort into legitimate work?
Yeah, exactly. They'd probably make more money. Do something right. So tell us about this one. This one just came off the wall for me, Matt.
Yeah, so this is a thing called juice check is what we talked about last time. This is a thing where basically a warning was put out by Adaptive Security where they said that what you want to do is not take those airport selfies and not post them. And the reason that you don't want to do those things is because bad guys will monitor your Facebook page or your Instagram page or your TikTok, and they'll wait. And so bad guys have gotten really, really good at being patient and waiting for windows of opportunity. And so what they'll do is they'll have your password because it was compromised in a breach, because even though we're not supposed to reuse the same passwords, we do. And so they're sitting there with your password and they just wait. And they wait for you to do something like post an airport selfie. And then they set a timer and they say, okay, let's give it half hour. Let's give it 45 minutes. And then let's log into their social media account and start direct messaging all of their friends and family and say, hey, it's me. As you know, I'm on my way to, let's say, Paris. I'm on my way to Paris, and I ran into some trouble, and I'm stuck at customs for whatever reason, or oops, there was a joint that somebody snuck into my bag, or I don't know. But for whatever reason, my credit card and my debit cards aren't working. Could you wire me some money? You know I'm good for it. I just got to clear this stupid TSA thing, the stupid customs thing. And part of the reason this works so well is because if your loved one was suspicious and they reach out to you to call you, well, you're on an airplane. You're not able to take that call.
Yeah, and so so better safe than sorry. They're almost willing to go ahead and wire the money because by the time you land and you get
verify,
somewhere, right.
Wow.
That's just crazy.
So how
well, and
go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things they also prey on is getting you in a moment where you don't have time to think. And in this moment, when you're being messaged urgently, oh my gosh, I am here, I'm at the counter, I either need $300 or they're putting the cuffs on. You don't have time to think, right? These are the sorts of things where they really are ramp up that pressure. and can get in and get after you. And again, the legitimate person is out of position to verify that something's wrong.
Are there ways for these scammers to pretend to be you if they don't have your password? Can they do some kind of spoofing?
Yes, and that's been going on as long as we've had social media, right? Because one thing that is always public is your profile picture. On Facebook, I'm talking about here, but one thing that's you can make everything private, but one thing that's always public is your profile picture. And we've seen this this has happened to me now a half dozen times, and probably you as well, where they'll just take that one photo and then they, reverse search the internet and post a couple other photos so it looks like a Facebook page, and then just send you a friend request. And so I get a friend request from Holly or a friend request from Greg, and I go, oh, I thought we were already friends, but I don't know. Yeah, sure, of course they're my friend. And I click on it real fast to make sure it's really them. Yep, that's them. That's their picture. And next thing you know, that I begin communicating with this person who is not the actual person.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, Matt, you helped me this last weekend because I flew to Maine to see family. So I had stopovers in several airports. And I remember you talking last week about plugging your cell phone, or excuse me, your electronic device in, I forget.
Airport chargers.
Yeah, airport charger, because people can read that. So I plugged into the wall. I got the brick, like you said, and did it.
Yeah, there you go.
So I could avoid that. But now we've got a new thing we need to think about when we go to the airport, and that is don't tell the world that you're about to be, indisposed for a couple of hours and being on an airplane.
If for no other reason then let's not pretend that social media serves any real purpose other than making our friends jealous. You don't need to make your friends jealous. Just leave that selfie in your back pocket. The picture you get when you get there is going to be better anyway. Listen, I'm a big cynic on social media. I really have come full circle on thinking it does more harm than good in many, many, many ways. But it's also become a true opportunity for scammers to really get in and do some bad things.
One of the other things that I've heard of, and so I wasn't already posting most of the time, is that you notify people who might go to your home, right? Say, hey, I'm out of town. It makes me think of Home Alone, right? Hey, we're going to Paris for a week. And then people can come in and rob you. So here's another form of that.
100%. And this is a scam that, again, has been going on for a long time and really dates back to when we used to post death announcements. I guess we still do post death announcements, obituaries. When everyone's going to be out of the house because they say, hey, the memorial service for, Jane Grey is happening at this time at this location. And all you got to do is look her up in the phone book or figure it out, and that house is going to be empty. And so for decades now, burglars, like physical burglars, have been breaking into people's homes based on these sorts of death announcements. And recommendation, seriously, that's been going back since as long as I've been a reporter now, 30 years, has been have somebody watch the house, have a neighbor who isn't going to be at the memorial service keep an eye on the place. But yeah, this is now, it's all digital, right? Our money is all digital. When's the last time you actually had a dollar bill in your pocket? No, it's all ones and zeros, and it goes from your Venmo account to your bank account to your paycheck to your whatever. And so once they get in there, they can do a heck of a lot of damage.
So let me ask you this, Matt, and maybe I'm getting into the weeds too much. So if somebody says, hey, I need some help, wire me some money, there've got to be some wiring instructions. Are they wiring money directly to these scammers' accounts?
Sometimes. So there was, again, a few, maybe even 10 years ago, some of the big wiring services, one of them, Western Union in particular, got in trouble because it was alleged that they weren't doing enough to shut down scammers. And they ended up, as I recall, paying a settlement to make that go away, and have changed some of their procedures. But yes, the short answer to your question is yes. It used to be you had to have Western Union or some sort of equivalent in order to make a wire transfer go through. But now you don't, right? Now you just need send it to my Venmo account, send it to my Cash App account, send it to me here on Facebook. I mean, you can literally do a lot of these things through the social media apps now. And so it's no longer like one thing where you got to really be on the lookout for, because they can, as Polly, as you mentioned, they can spoof you and they can make it look like it's you and you're really sending the money to this person.
Yeah.
And there are protections, and they try to do things to protect you. Hey, if you've sent a Venmo to anybody recently that you, for the first time, they say, put in the last 4 digits of this person's phone number just to make sure it's really them. So there are things that the good guys are doing to try to keep the bad guys out that become extra hurdles for them. But imposter fraud is the biggest fraud in the United States right now. It's billions upon billions of dollars every single year. So clearly the bad guys are winning.
So what additional things in the last minute or so that we have, what are additional things that people can do to protect themselves?
Just be skeptical and be a cynic. And I know how depressing that sounds, but you don't need to post the pictures on social media. You sure as heck don't need to do it until you get home. So don't be letting people know about your vacation and your travel plans, because they do. We've talked about this so many times, but gone are the days of blanketing you with emails saying, "Hey, you've won Publishers Clearinghouse,"
Right.
or "Hey, you've won the lottery," or whatever, and they just hope somebody clicks who maybe isn't thinking clearly. They are really targeting people at an individual basis and are getting away with more and more and more money than they ever have before. And so just being cynical and being skeptical and trying to avoid transferring money as best you can.
All right, I actually have one final question.
Go ahead.
Sorry. We had a texter who asked, is there a way to stop the scam phone calls?
No. No, I wish I had a better answer for it. I have done stories where I've tested some of the things that are supposed to shut them down. Obviously, you know that a lot of the cell phone companies have put in some things where now at least it says like this is a spam risk or whatever. By the way, my doctor called me the other day and it said spam risk, so that's not a perfect system. But I've tested these, and no, the short answer to your question is I cannot figure out how to make the bad guys stop doing bad guy things.
Well, we're thankful that Matt Gephardt is one of the good guys, and thanks for joining us. And, Holly, Matt and I live in a world where we suspect everybody's trying to scam us because it's what he sees every day, and it's what I see every day in my practice. So we're a little more skeptical, probably less likely to get scammed than others who may be more trusting. Coming up on Inside Sources, Airbnb, VRBO, and other short-term rentals are booming in Utah, but at what cost? Coming up, we talk with the Utah Taxpayer Association about how these rentals are reshaping neighborhoods, straining the housing market, and what it could mean for your taxes. Coming up.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, the Layton City Fire Department says an apartment fire that destroyed a 24-unit building last week was not human-caused, but they have not yet announced the official cause of the fire. The American Red Cross is still helping about 15 people who no longer have a place to live. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, President Donald Trump says a major component of his 20-point peace plan involves disarming Hamas in Gaza, saying if they don't disarm, we will do it for them. Daniel Shapiro is the former U.S. ambassador to Israel during the Obama administration.
The combination of Palestinians who want to be freed from this terrorist organization that's brought nothing but ruin on their lives, and the external countries who have influence, political, military, and financial influence, really have to be put together to get Hamas to relinquish what is basically otherwise going to drag, ultimately, Hamas and Israel back into another war.
He says if Hamas is not disarmed, reconstruction, funding, international stabilization, and other dialogue is not possible. Drone video of a Russian island where a research station used to be shows polar bears have literally taken over the buildings left behind. The island faces Alaska across the Bering Strait, and multiple bears were seen living in the buildings. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 97 points right now. That's 0.2%. We're at 46,367. Coming up, more thunderstorms moving through our area today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey guys, it's Woodrow from Mint Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, you are not alone. And now there's a real solution that treats the root cause, not just the symptoms. Introducing our trifecta approach, a breakthrough combination of acoustic wave therapy, hormone replacement, and cryotherapy, all designed to restore blood flow, boost performance, and rebalance your hormones. Whether it's ED or hormonal imbalance, if you're ready to reignite your love life, this treatment helps bring back your energy, your drive, and your confidence. And right now, when you call, you'll receive a free consultation, a blood flow ultrasound, and an intimacy gift. That's a $650 value, absolutely free. And here's the bonus. The next 20 callers will also receive a 5-night stay at a luxury resort in Hawaii just for taking the first step. But you must call now. With 2 convenient locations in Layton and Sandy, help is closer than you think. Call 801-804-8000 now. That's 801-804-8000. Mint Medical Clinic. We'll get you back to mint condition.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age. making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Attention Jazz Nation, the long wait is finally over. Mountain basketball is back and better than ever. Let's go! All tickets are on sale now, and you won't want to miss the action. Jump on the opportunity to watch your favorite players live and in person. Whether you're after season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, the Utah Jazz has got your back. There's a plan for every fan. Don't miss out. Secure your seats today and be part of the excitement all season long. Let's go! Visit UtahJazz.com today.
You need another bathroom. You want a back patio retreat. We have a plan. If you're looking to start a home improvement project, a discounted home equity line of credit from Zions Bank is an easy, affordable way to turn your home's equity into opportunity. Stop by your local branch to get started or visit zionsbank.com/HELOC to learn more. Loan subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. See banker for details. A division of Zions Bank Corporation, N.A., member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 467014.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the biggest issue for drivers right now is a partial road closure in Mill Creek. This is 3300 South. All westbound lanes are shut down between 1300 and 1100 South. It's so crews can repair the water main break that happened yesterday. They're just trying to fix the road, and that's going to stay in place for almost 48 hours. So you're going to have to find detours in the Mill Creek area if you're heading westbound 33rd South. The rest of the directions appear to be open at that intersection. No problems right now on I-15 throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties. You also have a good commute coming out of Tooele County on SR 36 and I-80. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
The high today will only be 57 degrees with rain and thunderstorms off and on. More rain tomorrow with a high of 52. Right now it's 54 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Now we want to take a minute and talk about something that's changing the face of Utah's neighborhood. That's short-term rentals. I know in my part of the state, Holly, it drives people nuts, and the community is trying to do what it can to convince the county or convince the HOAs or whatever that you should absolutely not allow for short-term rentals, but they're part of our economy right now.
Look, I just stayed in a short-term rental in a different country, so it was a big one in Ethiopia, and we had all of our family members staying in there. We had more than a dozen of us, so it can be a good option as a consumer, but it is changing the face of housing. So Utah specifically has seen a significant increase in short-term rental listings, like high tourism areas in Moab and Park City and St. George. And in some areas, they make up 10 to 20% of the housing stock. That's a lot.
That's a lot. So we have with us this morning Billy Hesterman, who's been a friend of the program in the past, president of the Utah Taxpayer Association. Billy, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, good morning, Holly. Good morning, Greg. How are you both?
Very well. So what got you looking into short-term rentals?
Well, up here at the Capitol, there's a lot of discussion, as you both know, for a number of years now on housing. And we've wanted to, be a helpful voice in this conversation. And this was one area where we thought we can share something here to help them as they help policymakers as they drive the discussion and figure out what can we do to make homes more affordable for Utahns. And one of the targets has been, what if we limited short-term rental homes here in our state? And we wanted to take a look at that and say, now, wait a minute, there's some property tax implications here. And if we really do impact these STRs, will we really get any benefit for it? And that's why we've put together a study to that we've released today for everyone to look at and consume and digest and determine how to move forward.
Great. Can you tease us and tell us what you found? Or just
Yes.
flat out tell us.
So when we look at property taxes, especially, most of these short-term rental homes should be paying the full 100%. As you both know, and as our audience knows, your home, as long as it's a primary residence for you or someone that maybe you're renting a home to, as long as for 6 months and a day here in Utah that someone lives in it, it gets a 45% discount on its property tax valuation. And so these STRs don't qualify for that because they're not someone's primary residence. So they actually pay more in property taxes than most everyone else does in a neighborhood or in a community. And so if we were to take all the STRs, well, half the STRs, and turn them into homes, we're going to lose that property tax dollars there from these homes by about $80 million. And what that does actually is it shifts that back onto all of us. So that's an increased burden on the taxpayers who are already paying to welcome them back into the primary residence exemption. And so that's one thing we wanted to make everyone aware of. If you get rid of these, you're going to push a little bit of a tax increase onto the residents of Utah.
So I'm looking at a report that the Utah Taxpayer Association did, Billy, and one of the subcategories here, or at least one of the headnotes, says eliminating short-term nightly rentals, the impact of housing inventory prices, affordability, and tax collections. Is that a suggestion from the Taxpayer Association, eliminating short-term nightly rentals?
No, it is. It's a look at what would happen if we did.
Okay.
And so what we're seeing is if we take these homes and if we put them back into the market and allow people to buy them or rent them as a primary residence instead of as a short-term rental, we're looking at how will this impact the state's housing costs. And one of the things we found is that it'll actually decrease housing prices if we took all the units and put them back into the pool, as it were. It'll decrease it by 0.4%. So in other words, the average home in Utah now is $500,000. It might lower the price down to $498,000 if we put them all back.
Okay. What recommendations came out of this report, Billy?
Well, it's always, we certainly agree with local control, and there are areas where you have to be more cautious about this. You brought it up, Holly, of, some of those areas like Bear Lake or Moab or St. George, where we all like to go and we like to take our families. And these places are amazing for families. I've got 3 young kids. This is, ideal, a great situation for them to be in where they each get their own bed, their own room possibly. But we have to think about how will it impact taxes in the area, and we have to think about how will it impact the community. Greg, you mentioned that there's some that they don't love, your neighbors don't love, but they are a benefit because they do help keep taxes a little bit lower, and also they do drive the economy. As we've learned that a lot of these STRs bring in outside visitors from the state that help bring money to help keep our state humming along like we are.
Billy, does the Utah Taxpayers Association in this report propose legislation or even some ideas for some of the municipalities when they deal with these short-term rentals in the future?
I'd say the biggest takeaway is we don't recommend legislation, but we do recommend that they, while we're talking about housing and like all complex issues, there's not one simple lever to pull to fix it. Be cautious about what you're doing with STRs. While, there might be some situations that need to be addressed and looked at, overall STRs have been a benefit to the state. There's something that I think all of us as Utahns enjoy when we have our big family reunions and we all go to a nice place and get to stay together in one. Let's not disrupt that. Let's find ways to move forward with it and make sure that we're keeping these, they're helping our economy grow also, especially in our tourism sector.
Interesting. What could everyday Utahns do if they're concerned about this issue on one side or the other? What do you have recommendations for us normal people out here?
Well, as far as housing, we need to continue to ask our city councils and our county councils to be open to housing. And also, we as residents in the state need to be open to new ideas and new solutions on how to bring in more housing. The only way we're going to bring costs down, is that old economic thing of supply and demand, and we need to increase our supply to bring down the demand. And so we need more homes. We need more places for people to live. And so we need to be open to things like, I guess I can be open to having, a section of townhomes built in my neighborhood, or I need to be open to new ideas on how we bring more people and allowing people to have those mother-in-law apartments and rent them out. All different things to make sure that everyone can have a place to live and enjoy our wonderful state.
Thank you. That was Billy Hesterman, president of the Utah Taxpayers Association. Holly, you enjoyed an Airbnb in, of all places,
Ethiopia,
the other side of the world,
yeah.
and it worked out for you. And
it did, yeah.
So we have a home that we don't live in, and people have said put it in the Airbnb. I just don't like the idea of somebody staying in our house, even though we don't stay there ourselves.
I've stayed several times in Airbnbs, and I've had mixed results. There were one time we did a girlfriend's weekend away, and it was literally somebody's home. There was still dirty laundry out, and it was like, I don't know if I want to stay in a home where somebody actually lives there most of the time. That part felt a little awkward, right? It's like, if I'm going to stay in an Airbnb, I actually want it to be something that is dedicated to being an Airbnb. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and my daughter and her husband actually have a sort of a mother-in-law apartment that within their home that they rent out as an Airbnb, so that they have guests in their home. It's worked out for them, and I don't know. It's not something I'm interested in doing, although I've taken advantage of staying in the past. Instagram has added more parental controls, and now Instagram users under 18 will by default only see content that adheres to PG-13 ratings applied to movies. We'll have more details on that after the break, and other providers. That's coming up next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Rivalry Week is here, and KSL News Radio has your tickets to this year's BYU-Utah game. Tune in every hour and listen for a Cougar keyword. When you hear it, text it to 57500 for your chance to win. We'll pick a new winner each day. The more Cougar keywords you catch, the better chance you have to win. Find details and sweepstakes rules at KSLNewsRadio.com. KSL News Radio, the legacy home of BYU football.
The movie show is at Minky Couture in Orem for the first time ever this Friday from 10 to 1. Check out all the new styles in time for the holidays. Visit minkycouture.com.
I'm Jenny Oaks Baker, and I invite you to Joy to the World.
It was sacred, exquisitely beautiful, and Jenny's talent on the violin is unmatched.
Featuring choirs, dancers, and my children musical group, Family 4. Plus world-renowned mezzo-soprano Angela Brower and celebrated baritone and narrator Preston Yates.
It was just like emotionally stirring. The dancers, the singers, Jenny and her family, just bringing to life the beautiful music.
Experience a Christ-centered Christmas as we proudly support Light the World.
It's so beautiful to see how they use all of their talents to just testify of the Savior.
Get your tickets for Joy to the World, a sacred celebration at jennyoaksbaker.com.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
The new Inside Sources.
Instagram has added more parental controls, and now Instagram users under 18 will only see content that adheres to PG-13 ratings applied to movies. Tara Hopkins, Global Director of Public Policy at Instagram explains.
We're doing this to really speak the language of parents who are much more familiar with movie ratings in terms of kind of a familiar model for those who are using Instagram. We'll never get to a point where no teen will ever see a piece of content that they wouldn't expect to see in a PG-13 movie. But we really are striving for teens to be able to have an experience on Instagram that a parent would understand to be a PG-13 experience.
ABC technology reporter Mike Dubusky joins us now to explain further. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, great to be here, guys.
So what does this PG-13 movie rating entail on Instagram?
Well, it effectively puts all of the users who are under 18 into a part of Instagram, a version of Instagram that has tighter restrictions on things like language, images, and themes. And as you heard Hopkins from Instagram there say, this is all based around movie ratings, right? We've all been familiar with sort of G-rated movies, mainly for children, PG-13 movies for kind of teenagers and young adults, and then, you know, the more adult themes that, kind of adults watch. That is sort of what they've been able to base their content moderation decisions around. It's going to put tighter restrictions on what these teens can see, with regards to, drug use or alcohol use or, gore or, things that people, who are of a younger age should probably not be able to see. So it's a separate version of Instagram. Again, if you are over 18, you likely will not notice a difference here. This is mainly focused on teenagers who have both an Instagram account and are signed up for the specific teen accounts feature that Instagram rolled out last year.
Mike, a lot of states, including Utah, have tried and been at various levels successful in enacting legislation to try to keep some of these media platforms from exposing our young people to certain things. Is this a way for a group like Instagram to sort of get on top of this and be proactive and say, hey, look, you don't need to regulate us, we're regulating ourselves?
I think it's absolutely that. It is a good question to ask. This is a tough question that is facing a lot of these tech companies right now. And there's very little research into the actual effect that, social media is having on younger people, on developing brains. Certainly there's a lot of anecdotal stories which are very concerning, but in terms of academic research upon which we can base legislation or guidelines or that sort of thing, it's pretty sparse, in large part because this is such a new technology and thoughtful research takes time. So in lieu of that, these companies do have a vested interest in, getting ahead of the eight ball and kind of rolling out some guidelines, or at the very least signaling that they do. And I think that's another important thing to consider here, is that these companies, in a vacuum of data to work from, are kind of flying blind. They're putting out these new features, these sort of parental controls, or these teen accounts which have kind of different guidelines around them, but do they work? I think that's still remains an open question. Again, this new sort of idea that Instagram is rolling out with regards to the PG-13 ratings only works if you're signed up for a teen account. Well, parents and teens have to agree to link their accounts in order for that to happen. And do teens do that? We don't really have any insight into that at this point.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was struck by what Tara Hopkins said about not being able to be 100%, right? That they already know that there's going to be ways to get around it. Are there any other changes to the teen controls on Instagram that you're aware of?
Well, I mean, the first thing that I think is notable there is that it is interesting that Tara Hopkins said that, we're never going to be able to 100% control what younger people see on our platform, right? That is an insurmountable goal. And I mean, you consider that there are billions of people on Meta products, more than 1 billion on Instagram alone, and all the posts that flow from those accounts. Yeah, that's a really, really big amount of data for Instagram to control. So, yeah, I think it's reasonable for her to say that, that there is some level of this that we're just never going to be able to get a hold on, but we can at least make some overtures to do it. In terms of other features that they are rolling out, I mean, there are certain things that the user can do themselves. They can set time limits on the amount of time that they spend on Instagram. There's a degree of moderation that you can do yourself by, following certain accounts that you think are good, or, kind of avoiding some of the seedier parts of the internet, digital hygiene and that type of thing. But yeah, it is a really complex question, guys, and one that we just really don't have enough data to fully answer just yet.
So the devil's sometimes in the details, Mike, and we're joined this morning by ABC technology reporter Mike Dubusky. Tell us, if I'm an Instagram user, or my family is, or I have a teen account, when I would expect to see a change and what that change will look like.
They say they're rolling out the changes this week. And in terms of what changes you will likely see, it's not outside of the realm of possibility that Instagram will throw up a pop-up banner to let you know that things are changing. But in terms of the content that's in your feed, it's going to feel a little, I guess some people would say more sanitized. Other people would say nicer. But that is kind of at the beck and call of the person involved. The same accounts that you follow will still be in your follow list. But if, for example, one of those accounts were to post something unsavory or maybe a little adult, that would not appear in your feed, right? It would be deranked or delisted from your particular feed. Other people, adults like, you or I, would be able to see that post. But, you as part of a teen account would no longer be able to see that.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with Mike Dubusky today about the Instagram implementing PG-13 ratings.
And I think he makes a good point, which is to say that, look, Instagram, either police yourselves or we'll do it for you. And so they're getting ahead of the curve here so that legislators like ours here in Utah and others throughout the country aren't saying we need to put more regulations on you. So this is a smart thing from a business perspective for groups like Instagram to get involved with.
There's a couple of other social media platforms that are doing similar things too. So Spotify right now, they're expanding parent managed accounts for kids so that they can have, they're expanding it to more countries, but you can have an account that parents can share with their kids, but it helps control what their kids listen to. And you also have YouTube that's going to make it easier for teens to find information on mental health content.
Yeah, and we spoke yesterday with Lois Collins about the harm that a lot of our younger people are experiencing as a result of some of this. So I mean, it just behooves both the providers and the government and users to say, wait a minute, let's revisit what's going on with these and how it's affecting our young people. And you'd mentioned Spotify. It's for apparently they manage a separate music-only listening experience for kids under the age of 13. So
Right.
we're talking really young. And then with YouTube, it's looking toward the group ages 13 to 17 to find age-appropriate information for them.
Right. So one of the stories I'm looking at, this is at TechCrunch.com on the YouTube information. They're launching a dedicated section actually for teen-focused mental health and well-being content. So they want to make it age-appropriate for topics like depression, anxiety, ADHD, eating disorders. And for teenagers, right, that's going to look different than if I'm an adult at 60 years old saying, look, I think I'm experiencing a bout of depression, right? I'm not a teenager, thank goodness, right? I did that one time. Don't ever want to do that again. But when they do that, they can find this information. I think that's really great. I think it's another way of saying these social media platforms realize, I'm interpreting here, these social media platforms realize that there is harm that is being caused by some of the content that can be found, and they're trying to mitigate that.
And if leaders in the community like Instagram, YouTube, Spotify are doing this, you would expect others to follow suit, and you'd expect that maybe the legislators and those regulators are going to back off a little bit and say, hey, look, you guys are taking some steps in the right direction.
I don't know about that, but it's one of the battles that's fought on multiple fronts, right? So you've got the companies themselves, you have users. Remember, we have a lawsuit by a parent who's alleging harm from major social media companies, but you also have legislation and you have litigation from the state level as well.
Right. When we come back, let's go to the Supreme Court of the United States. Could they be on the verge of reshaping how America draws its voting maps? Today, a major case on the Voting Rights Act is being heard by the United States Supreme Court, challenging race-based redistricting. Kelsey Dallas with SCOTUS blog joins us next to find out what's at stake. Remember, you can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour tonight, the Utah Mammoth will play their first home game of the regular season, and the Delta Center is expected to be packed with thousands of screaming fans.
Backhand star! A beauty!
The Mammoth are hoping to get back on track in front of the home fans after dropping 2 of their first 3 games to start the new season. There will be live entertainment and activities outside the Delta Center starting at 4. The puck drop between the Mammoth and the Calgary Flames is set for 7:30. Our top national story this hour from ABC News today, the Delaware Supreme Court hears arguments in a case challenging how much Elon Musk gets paid.
Elon Musk's pay package was challenged by a Tesla shareholder in 2018, who argued the company's board violated its fiduciary duty by approving the multi-billion-dollar plan. The lawsuit also said Musk's relationship with members of the board may have unfairly influenced the size of the package. Lawyers for Musk say shareholders were fully informed when they voted to approve the plan, and now the Delaware Court of Chancery has to rule on questions about Musk's influence and how informed shareholders were. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 22 points. Right now we're at 46,247. Coming up, more thunderstorms rolling through this hour. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
In today's digital world, outdated technology can slow you down. You need a partner who keeps you ahead of the curve. At Les Olson IT, we help your business thrive with top-tier office technology, from copiers and IT hardware to advanced IT services and security solutions. With Les Olson IT, you get more than just products. You get solutions, service, and a team that cares. Les Olson IT, empowering businesses with the tools for success.
Les Olson IT. You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on.
And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Utah Mammoth Hockey is back at Delta Center. Don't miss your chance to be part of the excitement as the Mammoth hit the ice all season long. Grab your friends, rally the family, and lock in your seats for the fast-paced, hard-hitting action. Great seats are available for most games, but they're selling fast. Head to UtahMammoth.com to get your tickets today. That's UtahMammoth.com. Your home for all things Mammoth hockey.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And back to you, Heather.
Well, we do have some delays southbound I-15 as you go in between the two major Lehigh exits. That's coming off of 2100 North down to about Main Street. Haven't heard of a crash in that area, but there is a really black cloud hanging over Utah County, so maybe they're getting a bit of heavy rain that is slowing down traffic. Just use caution as road conditions may change as we have scattered rain showers across much of the Wasatch Front this morning. Otherwise, you're going to have a pretty good drive, especially in Davis and Salt Lake counties. No delays right now on the east or west side belt routes or I-80 through Parley's Canyon. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We've got thunderstorms moving into the northern Utah area. A high today of 57 degrees. More rain tomorrow with a high of 52, but clearing for the weekend. Right now, it's 55 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
It's been a really interesting week, Holly, because the Supreme Court of the United States is hearing arguments, and every day they've heard a different case or two or three. Of course, we don't know the results of these arguments until maybe next spring or sometimes into even summer. But there's one that we want to talk about here in a minute involving redistricting, and it's a different redistricting argument than we have here in Utah because it deals with race, where in Utah, our redistricting is more directed toward political affiliation. And,
right.
And obviously, when you're dealing with race, it's a much more protected class.
And that it goes back to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, right? And that was, I think it's one of the things that makes this case interesting and also complicated. And so we have with us today, again, Kelsey Dallas, the managing editor of SCOTUS blog. Kelsey, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Can you break down for us the basics? What is Louisiana versus Kelly about, and why is it so pivotal?
Yeah, Louisiana v. Kelly is a complicated case for multiple reasons, as you were already starting to get into. It's about Louisiana's congressional map and whether the state erred when it created a second majority-minority voting district. And majority-minority in this case would mean another voting district that's made up of primarily black voters. So Louisiana originally was in front of the Supreme Court last term, and there were oral arguments in March to sort of talk about whether its redistricting had run afoul of the Voting Rights Act. And now it's being heard again because the justices wanted to reflect on whether the state had leaned so heavily on race when it did its map that it has actually now violated the 14th or 15th Amendment, which have concerns about treating different Americans differently. So in this case, it would be sort of focusing so much on race that you have now given Black voters a privilege that white voters don't have access to. If I haven't lost you already, I will just say that it is a complicated debate, and Louisiana articulates that by saying that it feels trapped between a rock and a hard place. It feels like it was asked to redo its map because it hadn't given enough voting power to its Black residents, but then when it did this redistricting because it had been ordered to by a court, it now is getting hit with the accusation that it leaned too much on race. And so the question in front of the Supreme Court now is, how do they clear up this confusion, and how do they do so in a way that doesn't end up harming minority groups in voting?
Kelsey, can you tell us, have those arguments before the Supreme Court on Louisiana versus Calais actually occurred today? Or are they scheduled?
Yes, so it started at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. It lasted about 2.5 hours, and that was because there were 4 different attorneys taking part. That adds to these complications. So there was one attorney representing Black voters. There was an attorney representing white voters who had challenged the redistricting. There was an attorney for Louisiana talking about the state's frustrations with this process. And then there was actually an attorney from the U.S. Solicitor General's office that was sort of representing the Trump administration's position. And so each of those attorneys had a chance to present their arguments and then face a series of questions from the justices.
And did we learn anything from the questions from the justices in terms of where anyone may be leaning? I know that's sort of playing armchair quarterback, but did we learn anything from the arguments today?
I think that what stuck out to me most listening to the arguments was that the 3 Democratic appointed justices, they're also known as like the liberal camp of the court, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, are strongly opposed to limiting the power of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. That is what is being cited when states are asked to create additional majority-minority districts. They're very concerned about weakening it, about harming minority voters potentially. And so they were pushing back hard against these attorneys representing white voters in Louisiana and pushing back against the Trump administration and Louisiana officials who are saying that they're not really happy with how this redistricting process played out. That is to be expected because in other recent cases that had to do with questions of racial discrimination, we often ended up with a 6-3 result, including the affirmative action case about how race is considered in university admissions. And I think many people went into argument today feeling like this case is inevitably headed to that same sort of 6-3 result. I don't want to go that far. I'll just say that there is a very unified sort of voice coming from the 3 liberals.
So just along those same lines, Kelsey, I understand why people are saying this could totally gut the Voting Rights Act of 1964 and then end up reducing minority representation in Congress. Are there any types of discussions around the Voting Rights Act not being okay?
Right. So the reason why there has been this alarm raised about gutting the Voting Rights Act is the question is whether a ruling in favor of those unhappy with the current Louisiana congressional map would mean that you can no longer force a state to redistrict out of concerns that minority voters do not have the same level of voting power that white voters do. And what I mean is that you would no longer be able to say, like, hey, your map's need to think a little bit more about minority voters. And so the question is, does any guidance along those lines end up violating the Constitution because you're asking lawmakers to think quite a bit about race when drawing their maps? And it was a little unclear during arguments if the folks that aren't happy with Louisiana's redistricting process actually want the decision to say that. It's like, okay, it's the end of Section 2. It seemed like they just weren't happy how Section 2 had been implemented over the years, and they think it's possible for voters, Black voters in particular, to speak up and say, we feel like we don't have the same power in this state in elections that our white neighbors do. And they think that it's possible to resolve that without drawing a map that very clearly circles areas where Black voters live. But that might be like a distinction without difference. It was unclear if there's a ruling possible that protects Section 2 as we know it, and still gives a win to the people who are unhappy with what happened in Louisiana.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have one last question for you. How, in practicality, how does this impact not only Louisiana, but let's look at like the 2026 election, 2028 election? It feels like there's some whiplash going on too.
That's a great question. My understanding is that a ruling that weakens Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act that says states shouldn't so directly consider race when drawing their congressional maps could lead to changes to around a dozen districts in southern states in particular. And so that could really shake up the voting for the House, because typically those were sending Democrats to the House. So I think that is what people are warning, is that would basically immediately take away 12 to 15 seats in the House for Democrats. But there was an effort by some attorneys today to say, wait a second, even if we win, that doesn't mean that our state, Louisiana, or other states will immediately redistrict to favor Republicans, because they want to be careful about creating more purple districts, like putting Republicans in danger by mixing up Democrats into currently red districts. So that's always a part of these Supreme Court arguments, is people sort of saying the sky is falling if you rule for the other side. No, the sky is falling if you rule for the other side. And so it's not clear. There's certainly been a lot of reporting that says if the Supreme Court overturns the current map in Louisiana, that we will see a shakeup that extends beyond Louisiana. But I don't think people agree on just how significant that shakeup would be.
All right. Thanks, Kelsey. We've been speaking with Kelsey Dallas, managing editor of SCOTUS blog. When we come back, we're going to talk about how the Utah Food Bank is stepping up to support federal workers during the government shutdown and what you can do to help. That's streaming live on KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
The KSL News Radio app will update you on breaking stories.
Red Cross brought relief supplies.
And you'll get exclusive audio streams from local events, breaking news, and sports.
Cougars feel like they can overcome anything.
All of your favorite KSL hosts are there too, so you can listen anytime. Plus traffic and weather. Download it today. The app for KSL News Radio.
It's the Wi-Fi nightmare. Your kids are gaming online, your spouse is streaming, and all you want to do is watch an interesting YouTube clip, but the rest of your family has swiped all the zippity bandwidth. And you get the spinning wheel thingy, and you sound like an 8-year-old kid. It's not fair! But it doesn't have to be that way. Just imagine if your Wi-Fi was a lot smarter. Picture it, your TV, your phone, laptop, even your fancy fridge working together to make life easier. Well, Xfinity makes that dream a reality. You'd think they're telepathic. Really smart Wi-Fi that knows when your device needs a boost. The best equipment to stream 4 games at once with multi-view, and Xfinity Mobile that gives you Wi-Fi where you need it and 5G everywhere else. No more fighting for bandwidth at the end of a long day. Every device gets exactly what it needs. That's the magic of Xfinity. It's seamlessly in tune with you. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply.
This is Holly Robinson Peete for Eggland's Best. Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious, farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. with more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties, classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
If you have Medicaid and are new to Medicare, you may qualify to enroll in a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan with a lot more benefits like dental, vision, and hearing, along with helpful support when you need it most. Now is the time to see if you qualify to enroll. It only takes a few minutes to find out if you're eligible. Our licensed sales agents are ready to help you understand your options. So this Medicare planning season, we can help you plan well. Learn more at humanaduals.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a dual-eligible special needs PPO SNP plan with a Medicare contract and a contract with the state Medicaid program. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and there's a good chance you've heard me talking about our free furnace sale. The one where you buy a new air conditioner and we give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it, about $400. Well, we still have a few more spots on our schedule we need to fill, so I'm extending the sale, but I'm not quite sure for how much longer. Definitely no later than the end of October. And once I think our schedule's full enough, I gotta pull these ads. So don't wait too long to call and schedule your free estimate. The main reason we do this sale is to give you an incentive to help us keep our guys busy when the weather's mild. And thanks to your help, we're able to keep our guys and keep growing. So if your furnace and air conditioner are ready to be replaced, you owe it to yourself to at least schedule a free estimate and get all the details about our free furnace sale. Just to recap, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
That cougar growl means it's time to give out another cougar keyword.
Yes, every day through tomorrow, we're giving out a pair of tickets to this Saturday night's rivalry game between Utah and BYU, the football game you can listen to here on the legacy home of the BYU Cougars, KSL News Radio.
The cougar keyword for this hour is fans, F-A-N-S. So text the word fans right now to 57500 for your chance to win.
That's fans, F-A-N-S, to 57500. It's that easy, and be sure to increase your chance of winning by listening next hour at 12:20 for the next Cougar keyword. Good luck.
The new Inside Sources.
So as the federal government shutdown stretches on to what, now its 15th day, thousands of Utahns and maybe millions of Americans, from TS agents to park rangers, are still working without pay. But while politics play out in Washington, families still need food on the tables, and it's been tough. It's been tough for a lot of people who thought and continue to think, Holly, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That doesn't seem like there's much going on.
Well, it's hard, right? And we're going to be talking about going to food banks, but I volunteered in a food pantry down in my area for a couple of years before I got back into school and got too busy. But it was really interesting. People sometimes would cry when they came in because they felt like there was such a stigma that they had to come in to the food bank for assistance. And I remember talking with a woman who was a registered nurse, and they just could not make ends meet, right? So it's one of the things sometimes that impacts people going to the food bank. But luckily in Utah, we have really a great organization, and we're joined today by Jeanette Bott, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Utah Food Bank, to talk to us about how the food bank's responding and how the community can get involved. Thanks for joining us, Jeanette.
Oh, thank you for the invitation.
So have you heard, or you've experienced any increase from the food bank from supporting federal workers who are now laid off?
Well, it really is a little bit too soon. I mean, it's been, this, I think today or tomorrow will be the first paycheck that people will miss. And so, it's like, how long after that do families have money in savings they can, extend? 2 weeks from now, when they miss that second paycheck, then rent will be due. Then what happens? Unfortunately, it takes some time to see some of that stuff fall into place. It's going to be so difficult for so many.
So for people like I had mentioned having the experience of seeing people who just felt really hesitant or embarrassed to even come in, what kind of message do you have for them?
It's interesting because dignity is something that we talk about all the time. We want to be sure that people are not embarrassed, that they don't feel uncomfortable. There shouldn't be a stigma. Food pantries for the most part now across our state are set up like a small grocery store. So you can go in, you give them your name, you don't have to give them a lot of information to get the help. And then you can choose the product from the shelves that your family would utilize. And that's so much better than a few years ago where you walked in and you were just handed a bag of food and you hope there was something in there that you could use. So we've tried to improve the aesthetics. We've tried to improve the process. And we definitely have tried to make them a cleaner, brighter, more friendly place, if that makes sense, to have people come because we know it's hard. We don't want to be a continued part of their problem. We want to be part of their solution. And, there's 309 pantries right now in the state of Utah that Utah Food Bank serves. So there is services in every county. The problem we have is we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what programs are going to have the biggest impact on families. I think, if you look at a family with a new baby, formula and baby food is really going to be a problem for a lot. And so, if November turns that the government is still closed and people are still looking for ways to help, that's what people need to do is hit the grocery store, buy those products that you wouldn't normally buy, take them to that pantry in your neighborhood, and let's help these families with some of the most expensive items they're going to need.
Jeanette, how do our listeners who are interested in receiving help or even giving help to the food bank find out about these pantries? Where are they and how can we learn more about them?
Well, there's a number of ways. There's a common way that people can do it is call 211. If they call that number and use their zip code, they can get a list of services right there in their neighborhood or in their zip code boundaries so they can find help that's close to their home. If they have access to a computer, they can come to our webpage, utahfoodbank.org. We have a tab there that, if you want to give volunteer time, you can, go through that process. But if you need help, there's a specific tag that you can scroll down and find your location. You can find your neighborhood. You can find hours and street addresses of pantries. It's all there on our webpage, and it's there so that you can see exactly where you have to go and what times that the pantry is available.
We're speaking with Jeanette Bott, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Utah Food Bank. And Jeanette, I know we're heading into the holiday season. I think we're already there, actually. And and often, I think, as I understand it, you get a lot of donations right around this time of year, but the needs are ongoing. And now this might be complicated. So what do you are you anticipating an additional push this year if the government shutdown continues maybe another couple of weeks? Like, how does the holiday season impact what you're seeing with this current potential crisis situation?
Well, the challenge for us is, the need has never gone down since COVID. So across the state, those numbers are still continuing to climb. And we're still seeing our pantries in all of these neighborhoods having specific challenges based on their location. What's great in Utah during the holiday season, the spirit of giving is so genuine, and people truly do want to help. So they're always reaching out. They're always asking for ways that they can do that. And again, I come back to the three things that we need here: food, time, or money. If you can donate food, remember anything your family likes and enjoys, another family will enjoy as well. Instead of a holiday gift to all your neighbors, maybe this year you do a small food drive and take that money, do a food purchase on behalf of all those folks, and donate that food. Same with money. We take your dollar and we stretch your dollar. We're very good shoppers here at the food bank, and we can do a lot of things directly to manufacturers that people can't take advantage of having to go to the grocery store. But of course, volunteer time is absolutely crucial for us to be able to do what we have to do. So any of those three things, or all of those things that people can do. And, in addition to what we've always asked for, we've recently acquired the Utah Diaper Bank. So diapers now are becoming a direct service program here at the Utah Food Bank. So a diaper drive would be another option that people could do if they wanted to during the holidays. It would help immensely.
Jeanette, with respect to food items, what kind of items really are you looking at, or that you need the most?
You know, it's interesting because we like to talk about kid-friendly foods. And those are things that kids can either prepare or pop-top cans that they can open, or something that would have a top, like the little containers of applesauce or fruit chunks that they can peel the label top off of. So kid-friendly foods are really important so that the kids have them and can do them if the parents are out of the house working. Box meals like mac and cheese, hamburger helper, things, again, that kids could use that could really make up perhaps a meal if it had to. Those kinds of things are really important as well. Canned fruits and vegetables. We always ask for low in sugar and low in sodium. But things, again, that could go with one of those box meals to complete a dinner for a child is really important. But the fact is people need to just kind of put forth the effort to remember, if they're shopping for their family, double that order if they can and shop for another family as well. And that's kind of a frightening thing to ask with grocery prices as high as they are right now.
So, Jeanette, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners on maybe what they can do tomorrow? You've already mentioned buy extra at the store, hold a diaper drive. Is there anything else?
The one thing that I would advise people to do is, if you know someone who is struggling, if it's maybe a federal employee that is new to this situation or someone that you know who's struggling for other reasons, please encourage them to get help. Have them call that 211 number or help them look up Utah Food Bank's webpage. There are locations and services available, and the biggest mistake they made is either putting that off or postponing it indefinitely. Encourage people that you think you can to get help. It really is here, and it will make all the difference in the world for their families at this point in time.
Thank you, Jeanette. That was Jeanette Bott, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Utah Food Bank. And Holly, I am really glad that you asked her the question about people who may need some help, especially in terms of perhaps being laid off or just having other issues with between now and the holidays, not being hesitant, not being embarrassed to go in and seek help, because it's there. That's why it's there.
Yeah,
and there have been times when we've all wanted or needed some level of help.
That's right. And Utah does tend to show up, right, during times of crisis. And I know that our community will continue to do that.
Yeah. When we come back, the Utah Mammoth hockey team home opener is tonight, and there's a party planned in downtown Salt Lake City. Our Utah hockey insider Jay Stevens joins us next to discuss all of the excitement. Stay with us on KSL News Radio, and you can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. Good morning, I'm Adam Small with a look at our top stories this half hour. Utah Republicans want to repeal a voter initiative that sets guidelines for drawing congressional district lines in 2018. State Republican Party Chair Robert Axson tells inside sources the GOP is gathering signatures towards their own initiative, which would go straight to the legislature if it gets enough support.
That, again, is the principles of a constitutional republic. We embrace that. And we are going about this in a process that is allowed and built into our state laws and constitution.
He says this process will start with the people, and this process will help people lean into the use of elected representatives. We spoke with Better Boundaries, the group behind the initial push, and we will have a full report for you on midday. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Los Angeles is declaring a state of emergency over recent ICE raids. The motion was opposed by just one of the county supervisors. The rest voted in favor, saying people are afraid to leave their homes and are worried about their loved ones they can't find. They say declaring a state of emergency will allow for assistance like rent relief for those who are behind on payments because of the raids. Your money at this moment, the market's been going the wrong way since this morning. The Dow currently down 117 points. That's about 0.25%. S&P 500 currently down 11 points. The NASDAQ has been kind of going back and forth between even, right now down 7 points. Coming up, more rain through the rest of the day. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Calling all Jazz fans. If you can't wait another second to see stars like Ace Bailey, Lowry Markkanen, and Walker Kessler tear up the court, you're in luck. Tickets are on sale now. Let's go! No matter what you're looking for, the Utah Jazz has your back. With season tickets, mini plans, and single game options available, there's something for everyone. Whatever your schedule or budget, there's a plan for every fan. Don't miss a moment of the action this season. Secure your tickets today at UtahJazz.com.
Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Shop with any Mountain America credit or debit card for a chance to win a $5,000 vacation voucher. Simply tap, insert, swipe, or click to be entered to win now until October 31st. Use any card, win any trip from Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/anycard for official rules or to apply. Loans on approved credit. Membership required based on eligibility. Insured by NCUA. Limited time offer. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time.
Common Spirit Health has expert orthopedic care that gets you back at it and back to your best. Find skilled orthopedic physicians at Common Spirit locations who specialize in general orthopedics and repair of hips, knees, shoulders, and hands, so you can return to running races or chasing the grandkids. Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Orthopedic care with human kindness is here. Visit mountain.commonspirit.org.
Bill Riley here with University of Utah head football coach Kyle Whittingham. Now tell me, Coach Whitt, what's your philosophy on a winning team?
I believe the key to winning is a strong offensive line. When the linemen do their job, nothing gets through to the quarterback, so he can do his job.
Well, what happens if the linemen don't do their job?
Ouch. You know, Bill, I recently learned that kidneys work like linemen for your body. When your kidneys work, they block poisons and chemicals from your blood.
Coach, I've heard that 1 in 9 Americans have some form of kidney disease. What can we do to fight back?
Join me, Coach Kyle Whittingham, and be part of the winning team against kidney disease. Donate your used car or truck to the Kidney Foundation. Your car will be towed for free, and you'll get a receipt for a tax deduction. Tell them how to do that, Bill.
Donate your car to the Kidney Foundation today and make your car a kidney car. Cars to save lives. Call 1-800-TOW-CARS. That's tow cars. Cars with a K. 1-800-TOW-CAR.
Every year, the National Kidney Foundation helps individuals and families affected by kidney disease. Help them out by making your car a kidney car. Call 1-800-TOW-CARS.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Ricky Meese.
Crews have worked to get the disabled vehicle out of traffic southbound I-15 near Lehigh's Main Street. All lanes are now open, but there are some residual delays as you go from Pleasant Grove to Linden, south of where we had the disabled vehicle. And then in Weber County, an accident blocking a left lane northbound Harrison Boulevard at 36th Street in Ogden. Advanced Window Products offers Graber window coverings, high-end quality with the best warranties. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. AdvancedWindows.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, more showers and thunderstorms on tap today with a high of 57. We could see more showers overnight and into tomorrow morning. Thursday's high cooler at just 52 degrees. Right now, currently 54 degrees and mostly cloudy skies around Broadcast House here in Salt Lake City. I'm Adam Small from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So tonight, the Utah Mammoth will play their first home game of the regular season and their first home game as the Utah Mammoth. Last year, they were the Utah Hockey Club. The arena will certainly be full of a lot of screaming fans. Here's KSL News Radio's Adam Small with a breakdown on what to expect.
The Delta Center is expected to be packed with fans tonight, excited to watch their team play their first regular season home game as the Mammoth. And if last year was any indication, it's expected to be rocking. Hopefully the home crowd will help this young Mammoth team get on the right track after they dropped 2 of their first 3 games of the regular season. Before the game, though, the team will hold an outdoor party similar to what they did before last year's home opener with live entertainment and activities. That starts at 4 o'clock. The puck drop between the Mammoth and the Calgary Flames is at 7:30. At the Delta Center, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
So I am not a big hockey person. I know there's ice involved. And there's a puck. But luckily, we have Jay Stevens, hockey insider and host of the KSL Sports Podcast, the Utah Puck Report. Jay, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, yeah. Always glad to be on. Love to talk about hockey.
Great. So can you talk to us about the energy of the day as the Utah Mammoths get ready to play their first home game?
Yeah, this is going to be a lot like last year. We just seem to always have so much more to cheer for every year, right? Last year was our first year to have a team, and they had this massive party with live music, tons of vendors, and face painting, and everything you can imagine. And they're doing it again. It's technically the first year for the Utah Mammoths, so it's another home opener. And expect to see just a huge party outside the Delta Center. And they're asking for everybody to be in their seats by 7 p.m. because they've got more surprises coming our way.
Okay, so Jay, let's talk about the Delta Center as a venue. I'm old enough to remember watching the Golden Eagles play at the Assault Palace, and I loved the venue. I watched the Grizzlies play at the Maverick Center, and I think this is their last year there. But I haven't seen a game at the Delta Center. What can a person who wants to take in that venue expect in terms of the seating and the vibe, what the energy's like there?
The energy in the building is amazing. And I said this last year, and I got made fun of a few times, but then every player that came in and played either with what was the Utah Hockey Club or against said the same thing. The Delta Center always has playoff-like level atmosphere and intensity, and the seating is all brand new. Every seat in the lower bowl is different than it was last year. They've raised the ice. They've changed the seating. Everything's a lot better than it was last year. And there's 1,000 more seats with unobstructed views than there were last year. So it's just every seat lower bowl is just perfect. And then all the obstructed seats upper bowl are going to have better vision as well just by raising the ice. So good seating, great atmosphere, very fun team to watch, very fast and exciting team to watch.
I want to ask you about the party beforehand. What's that like? And it gets started at 4, right?
Yeah, I believe most of it starts at 4:30, maybe 4 o'clock. But they have, like last year was live music. They had Shabuzi last year. You know they're going to have somebody big again this year. We had lots of, like I said, there was face painting, tons of food, and adult beverages. There were like a little garden that you could go enjoy yourself at. And they just keep upping their game. So as fun as it was last year, expect this year to be even better.
Hey Jay, what can you tell us about this year's team? I know last year they had a good team. They I think their record was over 500. They didn't get into the playoffs. I may be wrong about everything I'm saying here, but do we expect a better team? I know we're off to a 1-2 start. I think. What are the prognostications about this year's team?
Yeah, on paper, this year's team is a lot better than it was last year. They went out and got a forward named J.J. Peterka, who was playing in Buffalo, who had 67 points by himself last year. He's a phenomenal player, and we've seen flashes of his brilliance. And he's on our line with two of our other big stars, Dylan Gunther and Logan Cooley. I mean, you're looking at 21, 22, and 23 years of age. They're the fastest, most up-and-coming players in the NHL. And that's our second line. Line one with our captain, Clayton Keller, is also just an amazing line. So you're going to see more production out of this team. I think they're just taking a while to gel as lines. They didn't get a lot of reps in even during preseason together because they had a lot of other players they were looking at. But our line one and line two for the Utah Mammoth are going to be so exciting. And I expect to see, right now the Mammoths are scoring 2 goals a game in their first three, and we expect to see 4 or 5 goals a game in some of the games this year. Just expect a lot of explosive firepower for these guys. And then we've got a third and fourth line that come in, and they're very physical, very tough. So you get the beauty of the first 2 lines, and then you get the physicality of the second 2 lines.
So let me ask you this question about ticket prices. Are they within reach for families? What's the average cost for a ticket?
Well, you can get in the building. There are seats available for around $35. The average ticket price for the Delta Center is about $250 per person. They do have Smith's nights. They do have student discounts. There's a lot of different ways. Ryan Smith does, randomly opens up seats that can only see 1 goal. But ticket prices have gone up a little bit. We are the 7th most expensive team in the NHL. Vegas ticket prices went up 10% this year. Colorado went down 6% this year. So we're kind of right there where you'd expect to be with so much excitement. And, games are sold out right away. Almost every season ticket's already gone. So that they're reasonably priced because people keep buying them, but it's tough for a family of 6 to catch one of those games. That's for sure.
Jay, have you been surprised at the level of support that the hockey team has received? I mean, we hit the big leagues, we got to the NHL, and I think a lot of people felt like, whoa, is this a market that can support that? But you're talking about sellout crowds, or at least a lot of season ticket holders. Is Utah holding its own in terms of getting people in the door?
Yeah, honestly, I think, and I was one of the biggest trumpeters of how I thought this was a hockey market. I knew there was a hockey fan base, but it even surprised me at how much support and how many rabid fans we have. You see the jerseys everywhere. You see stickers on every car and flags flying everywhere. And yeah, like I said, most games are sold out. Technically, every game is sold out. They do find a way to open up more tickets on obstructed view, but as far as the unobstructed view, 11,700 seats that we claim as our seating, those are sold out. So I think everybody was probably a little bit surprised, and I think the more people watched hockey, the more they realized how much fun it was to watch, and it just kept growing and growing and growing.
And talk to us about having a mascot now, the Mammoths, and having jerseys and colors and things like that. That's all part of the game. And I know Utah Hockey Club was great, but Utah Mammoths just sounds a lot better.
Yeah, and it went through, a ton of voting, a ton of ups and downs on trying to figure out what our identity was going to be. When it came to be the Mammoth, everybody got pretty excited. They saw the imagery, and you've seen the jerseys. The colors and everything just come together, and they just seem to really fit Utah and our mountains and our weather. And, yeah, you mentioned a mascot. There's rumors that we might see one tonight.
There you go. Last question, Jay. What can you tell us about the Utah Grizzlies? They're hosting their last season here in Utah. When does that start, or has it already begun?
Yeah, their opening game is October 25th at the Maverick Center. It's terrible to see them go. I'm a longtime Grizzlies fan, a former Grizzlies player, and I'm sad to see him go. That's one of the best buildings in hockey. The building was built for the Olympics. It's got great sight lines. It's got great locker rooms, great ice. They're moving to New Jersey, so we're losing our East Coast League team. That's super affordable to go to. You can get tickets for $6 to $10. But I think we're going to see more come back. I think that building goes through some renovation, and then I expect to see either another AA or AAA team come back to the Maverick Center, and I expect to see another minor league team probably in St. George.
Okay, thanks, Jay. That was Jay Stevens, hockey insider and host of the KSL Sports Podcast, Utah Puck Report. And remember, today when they get going with the outside party, Jeff Kaplan is going to be broadcasting live outside the Delta Center for that home opener. So when we come back after the break, I'm going to talk to you a little bit, Greg, about a day that still makes me cry. It's actually Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day. And I wrote an article about it, and we'll talk about that and some other fun facts when we come back.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. The other night, I had the chance to see a brand new play at Hale Center Theater, and it's the musical comedy Murders of 1940. And I'm just going to read what I wrote to Sally Dietlein right after I got out to my truck. I just had to let her know how much I enjoyed it, and I said, a black and white screwball film noir comedy complete with Nazis, you have outdone yourself. This is so unique. The entire play, save only one character, is in black and white. Sally wrote back and said, yeah, I think it's the first time we've ever done, and she used this term, grayscape. It is so unique. You are going to love it. And then just down the hall, Sister Act is showing, and all kinds of wonderful performances still to come, like Frozen. We've already got our tickets for our grandkids. Go to hct.org or get your tickets at the box office. And don't forget, get your 2026 season tickets.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Many Medicare health insurance plans are cutting back on benefits, reducing coverage areas, or increasing costs. The Medicare annual election period begins October 15th. Legacy Insurance provides local agents you can count on to help you get the most of your Medicare benefits and to be there for you over the years. Call 801-281-0066, 801-281-0066, and ask for a real agent. Currently, Legacy Insurance represents 58 organizations, which offer 93 products in your area. You can always contact Medicare.gov, 1-800-MEDICARE, or your local state health insurance program for help with plan choices. There are significant changes to Medicare plans this year. Learn more or request help from a caring and local professional by visiting them online at BecauseWeProtectYou.com. That's BecauseWeProtectYou.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. When Utahns are injured in car crashes or other accidents, they often don't know where to turn. Valley Law Accident and Injury Lawyers is dedicated to helping people obtain the medical care and fair compensation they deserve. Founder and attorney Brigham Richards joins us with more.
At Valley Law, we believe injured people deserve more than paperwork and waiting. They deserve immediate, compassionate help. That's why our motto is, do it right, do it now. From the moment you call, we work quickly to document injuries, deal with insurance companies, and make sure you don't get pushed around. Our firm has deep roots in Utah, and we know the laws, the courts, the insurance tactics that too often stand between families and the recovery they truly need. Whether it's medical bills, lost wages, or property damage, we take pride in moving fast and keeping clients informed every step of the way. We also invest in the community through safety education, outreach, and practical resources that help families protect themselves before accidents happen. To learn more about our attorneys and how Valley Law can help, visit valleylawutah.com.
Valley Law continues to stand beside Utah families across the state, helping them through the challenges of injury claims. From protecting rights to easing stress and working toward fair outcomes, they strive to make difficult situations easier for communities. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. Holly, it is a good time of year if you're a sports fan. It's a great time of year if you're a hockey fan. We got to get you to a hockey game sometime before the end of the year. And I have to confess, I need to go see a hockey game at the new Delta Center. BYU, Utah, football game Saturday night.
And it's supposed to be perfect weather.
And it's going to be great weather. Of course, it's always good weather inside the Delta Center. I'm excited for the new team. And our Jay Stevens, I mean, what a lot of energy he had about that. And you can only imagine what the energy is going to be like down at Lavelle Edwards Stadium on Saturday night at 6 o'clock when that game kicks off. So, yeah, fun time of year and fun time to be a Utah sports fan. Both of our football teams are ranked nationally in the top 25.
But I'll just say this, as a former Cougar, we're a little higher.
Yeah, no, and you're undefeated, so we gotta do something for the Utes. Although I don't like it when they play each other because somebody has to lose.
I know.
mean, it would be nice if both teams were, 8-2 at the end of the year or something like that, but they have to play each other. Anyway, today you mentioned what today was. It was a little disappointing, a little discouraging, but something kind of hits especially close home with you.
So October in general is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and October 15th, which is today, is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day. And at 7 p.m., no matter what time zone you're in, so 7 p.m. in every time zone, there's an organization called Wave of Light that asks people to just light a candle, and it can be virtual or it can be actual, just to remember the babies that they've lost. So one of the things I think sometimes people don't think about, you talk about grief, and sometimes people want to know, well, how long does it take you to, quote, get over, right, to get over a loss or to get over a miscarriage? And I had a lot of miscarriages, but I had one specifically. It was 33 years ago, and I was almost to the halfway point in my pregnancy, lost a baby girl, and it was just so devastating to me that 33 years later, it still makes me cry to think about that loss, right? And she was perfectly formed, but her heart stopped beating, and I delivered her in an emergency room in the hospital, and we didn't really have a cause for why she died. But one of the things I think that sometimes people in our society maybe ignore is how many people are impacted by pregnancy loss. It's 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage, right? And then another 50,000 babies are stillborn or they die in infancy. That's a lot of people who are grieving.
That is, and we've all had that experience in one form or another. Remind our listeners, Holly, about your medical training and expertise and your involvement in delivery and pregnancy.
Yeah, so I have training as a registered nurse and worked in labor and delivery. I then became a midwife and worked also as a doula who provides support, but not the hands-on same kind of care as a midwife. But, I did have clients who had miscarriages. Again, it's something where it feels like you don't really want to talk about it. And I think sometimes people just don't know what to say, right? They don't know. Like you'll see people who are afraid to announce their pregnancy until after the first trimester because they don't want, if they have a miscarriage, they don't want to have to go back and say, never mind, I'm not pregnant anymore. And I think sometimes we think if we talk about it, we'll remind them of the loss. And that's not actually true. If you talk about it, I can guarantee you they haven't forgotten, right? If you went up to somebody and said, I know you're getting close to the due date of the baby that you lost, tell me how you're feeling, how you're doing. You're not going to remind them. They already are aware. They know, and they're thinking about it, right? So it's one of the things that feels so lonely, right? Grief can feel so lonely. And I think one of the best things to do is just acknowledge it. And sometimes just saying, I'm so sorry. I'm just so sorry.
That's what I was wondering. How do you approach or respond to somebody who's suffered that? I mean, just that way that you just described?
Yeah. You can talk, if they've named their baby, you can talk about ask them about the baby's name. If it's a later loss, a lot of times there are organizations. There's one called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, and they provide photography services for people who are experiencing a loss. And so they'll come, if you're delivering the baby in the hospital, they'll come there, they'll take pictures of the baby. And some people are like, well, that seems kind of morbid, but it's not. In most ways, it's really not, because once that pregnancy ends and you don't have a baby to take home, the only thing you have left are your memories and maybe photographs, right?
Yeah.
And so there are people who incorporate those photographs on their family wall, just like every other child that they've given birth to. That's a powerful way. I think remembering that they're not going to forget that they have a due date, that they have, a birthday or a death day, or they may or may not have been able to bury that baby, so there's maybe not even a place to go visit. But being able to talk to them and find out how they're doing, I know for me, and I think this is pretty common, it takes so much longer to feel like you can move through the grief than you expect.
Yeah.
It feels like I should be done with this by now, and it just does not. I just call it a slog. You just have to slog through it.
And I can only imagine carrying a child and then suffering that, and how difficult that would be. Just, from a woman's perspective.
Yeah.
And I know it's different. It's difficult for dads too, but boy, you're carrying the kid. And
you are, and I just want, if there's any parents who are out there who are kind of in the early days of loss, and it doesn't have to be pregnancy, but specifically today, that's what we're talking about. I just want them to know it gets better. It doesn't ever really go away, but it does get better. And the sharp edges do soften. And so to give yourself lots of patience and lots of grace, because it takes a while.
I was surprised at the number you quoted. 1/4 of pregnancies have complications or problems.
Well, miscarriage, so specifically. So
Wow.
Most of those are early losses in the first trimester, but it is a very high number, actually.
Yeah, we all know people have suffered that. So, thanks for sharing that, Holly.
Yeah. Okay, now I have some funner facts.
Okay,
so when you think about Abraham Lincoln, what comes to mind? Like, if you are envisioning him in your mind, what comes to mind?
Honest, tall, good-looking lawyer.
Good looking?
Yeah.
I think
he just had this presence. I mean, I don't know.
He did have a presence. But I think about, he was bearded, right? And he
Right.
had this big top hat.
Yes.
Well, in 1860, an 11-year-old girl wrote him and said, you would look a lot better if you grew a beard.
Oh, serious?
Yes, and so he did, and he did actually look better. In fact, some people complained, your face is really ugly, and he said, if I had another one, do you think I'd be wearing this one, right?
Yeah, there you go. He did have rough features, but I just thought he had an incredible presence.
Yeah, he did, for sure. So in 1917, on this day, a woman named Marion Donovan was born. So you may not know her. I didn't know her name until I was researching these fun facts, but I definitely knew her invention because she was the person who invented disposable diapers. Yippee for her. It should be a national holiday. That's when she was born. So she invented them a little later, but still, it was, it's been quite a while. So the very first disposable diaper, what she used a plastic shower curtain to basically create a cover. Right?
For a disposable. Now I'm old enough to remember we had regular diapers and washing
cloth
them
diapers. I know.
Putting them in some sort of thing. It was word.
Yeah.
Disposable diapers were really a blessing.
That's right. So it's also National I Love Lucy Day because in 1951 the show premiered starring Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. So National I Love Lucy Day.
Did you watch that show?
I did actually, and I didn't remember until I was an adult that it was like she couldn't show her pregnancy and she couldn't say the word pregnant. It was not allowed on TV, and they had twin beds that were separate, right? But it was really revolutionary for its time.
She was a classic.
Everybody
knows I Love Lucy.
Yep.
Everybody.
That's right.
If you're over 30 years of age, you'd remember I Love Lucy.
Yeah, that's right. So we've talked a lot about presidential debates and vice presidential debates, but it was 1976 before we had the first vice presidential debate. And that was Walter Mondale with Bob Dole in 1976, October 15th. That was the first vice presidential debate. And then this last one, I have to tell you, do you remember the Me Too movement?
Of course.
Kind of still going, right?
Yes.
So Me Too was actually, the hashtag was coined by an African-American woman. But on this day in 2017, Alyssa Milano actually took that hashtag that had been created, and she said, if you've been sexually harassed or assaulted, write Me Too. And that's when it just really exploded. So that was October 15th in 2017.
And it's been a huge part of our public perception and public prosecution, and just the way that we've looked at sexual assault cases in a way. And I, as a prosecutor and defense attorney, have seen how the public mind has shifted over just